The following is a live presentation of CBC Sports in high definition.
A cool but clear night in Regina where the locals are getting a little restless. The Roughriders have lost 2 in a row, and quarterback Kerry Joseph struggling just as much as the rest of them. A 65 rating in his last 2 games. This is the CFL on CBC in HD.
1, 2, 3, let's go!
CFL on CBC pregame presented by Campbell's Chunky, and the Roughriders are an answer to a trivia question. The only team with a winning record against the BC Lions since Wally Buono arrived in Vancouver. Buono was just 4-10 against them, but one of those wins came in front of these fans on July the 13th, 42-12, before the Roughriders returned with a victory of their own on August 2nd in BC. That one was by 21-9. Funny to hear Kahari Jones and Sean Millington on this turf yesterday wishing that they had played on it instead of the previous stuff that was here at Mosaic Stadium. They called it the worst in the league by far. But on this turf tonight, a huge game. You all know it, for first place in the CFL West, and also that will decide the tiebreaker between these two teams, as this is the final meeting. But the Roughriders come in struggling. They haven't looked great in their last 2 games. Combined losses by the score of 78-37. This one was a 42-22 defeat to Calgary, and 2 weeks ago in the Labor Day rematch, they lost 34-15 in Winnipeg in a game that really wasn't that close. Last night, however, was a good night for GM and VP Eric Tillman at the Regina Rams game. He celebrated in one of their touchdowns with a ride on the team's motorcycle mascot. And as Eric would say himself, and actually did, he doesn't need a helmet because that hair is so protective. Well, Eric, thanks very much for your time. And I think the big question that everybody has is, what is ailing your football team in the past 2 weeks?
I think, first of all, you give a lot of credit to the Winnipeg Blue Bombers and the Calgary Stampeders. We didn't just lose, they won. You know, the reality is, when you're in a season like this, there are going to be highs and lows. We've had a lot of injuries, particularly at secondary. Our halfbacks, this is an inside-outside game, Elliot. You can't hide your halfbacks. We've got both of our starting halfbacks out. Good teams have taken advantage of it, and we are what we are. But there are a lot of people that would like to be 7-4 and have our problems.
You know, there is, and it's a good point, and there is one other injury that you didn't discuss there, and that's Matt Dominguez. He's such a critical part of your offense. It's been 2 weeks now. Do you have a better idea, Eric, yet of whether or not he'll be back this season?
Well, we're holding out hope, but we're not optimistic, to be honest with you. After the swelling goes down, we're going to do some secondary tests. Matt's hopeful, but we're operating on the premise that he won't be back, Elliot.
That's huge, Eric, for Kerry Joseph, for your team, everybody else. How on earth do you replace what he brings?
You don't. It's pretty simple. We've got 12 guys on injury, so, I could take the whole pregame show talking about injuries, but in terms of Matt, he's a special guy. He's a difference maker. He's a leader, not only on the field, but off the field. Had all the players to his house every Wednesday or Thursday night for a barbecue to watch film together. Did all the right things. What we have to do is other guys have to step up their game, and we have to utilize our other weapons. Final
one for you, Eric. There was a lot of debate among fans. Crandall or Joseph, should Crandall get a shot this week? Organizationally, was that discussed much?
You know what, we have great confidence in both quarterbacks. Our players do as well. There was a factor that certainly contributed this week that hasn't been talked about, and that's that Marcus's wife, Mona, was expecting. They had a little boy 2 days ago. We weren't sure when the birth was going to be, so we weren't even sure if Marcus was going to be here because Ken has a policy that players should be with their families for the birth of their children. So this week it was a total non-option because we're a families first organization.
Eric, thank you very much for your time. Good luck tonight. Enjoy the game against BC.
You bet, and not one hair comment the next 3 hours, you hear?
I think most of the hair comments, Eric, are actually about mine now. Thanks very much.
You did it for a great cause. God love you.
Thanks a lot, Eric. And, well, first of all, congratulations to the Crandall family as we welcome Sean, Greg, and Kahari. But there it is, guys. No Matt Dominguez likely for the rest of the year.
But at the same time, you know, Eric didn't make any excuses, and that's actually what I'm very proud of, is that this is a 7-4 young football team that has exceeded expectations. But what would always frustrate me is if you start making excuses and creating an environment that it's acceptable to lose. And here in Saskatchewan, what's frustrated me is that having a culture like in big games, you always have to be the underdog. Stop thinking that you're the underdog. It's a good football team that happens to be young.
And Greg, you know, it does the rest of your guys who are playing a disservice to say that, okay, we're down Matt Dominguez, but, you know, we're just going to have to make it by somehow. And whoever's stepping in for Matt, well, you know, good luck out there. No, obviously, whoever's stepping in for Matt is coming in. He thinks he's going to play, and you have to have an organization behind him who believes in him and a coaching staff who will believe in him and help him to be as good as he can be.
And that's one thing, talking to Ken Austin, that you really get that idea that he really believes in his guys. And no matter what, he says if you're out there on the field, you are supposed to be doing your job and doing your job to the best of your ability. I think these two halfbacks, they have had trouble in these last couple of games, but Ken Austin still expects the best from them, and they're going to have to deliver.
All right, now one of the people the Roughriders are hoping will deliver in the absence of Matt Dominguez is DJ Flick. Earlier on, Steve Armitage caught up with him. Steve?
Elliot, with Matt Dominguez down, DJ becomes the go-to guy in terms of pass receiving for the Riders offense. Does that change your mindset about how you prepare for a game, DJ?
Not really. I know I have my own routine and everything I do before the game. My job is just to go out and do the best I can, and hopefully, you know, that'll be good enough to win this game.
Since Matt's been gone, have you seen any extra coverage?
Yeah, they do. They've been rotating over a lot over top of me, especially along the goal line. But at the same time, that leaves the guys on the other side of fan too, is Corey Grant, open, so they can make plays as well.
To give us some kind of thought on the Corey Banks matchup that you're likely to face tonight.
It's going to be a good competitive matchup. You know, him and I, we go at it often, and, you know, every time we do it, it's a good physical game. You know, he's going to make his plays, I'm going to make my plays, but hopefully I make more than he does.
DJ, thanks for this. Appreciate it. Have a good one.
No problem. Thank you.
How about Baron Miles staring him down in an interview? Never seen that before. Someone should tell Kerry Joseph it's not good to cram right before the exam. Fred Perry, by the way, predicted a victory this week. CFL on CBC pregame presented by Campbell's.
Pressure. He's sacked. Touchdown.
Soundbite with David Benefield is brought to you by Campbell's Chunky. It fills you up right.
What up, Matt?
Not much, just doing that chemistry thing.
Hey, when properly executing your formula in chemistry, you come up with the desired results. Put a little more in there. Whoa. At this point in the season, some teams are still in the lab, desperately searching for the proper formula in an effort to manufacture wins.
It looks like Jason Moss is coming out. Yes, the backup, Timmy Chang.
Some teams have the right formula, but the wrong ingredients. Other teams have the right ingredients, but the wrong formula. And some teams, they have neither. This is going to cause a major breakdown, as you've seen so far earlier this season. If you have too much of one element, something as good as water can become an acid. H2O, H3O. You better not drink the H3O. What is the danger of bad chemistry? You could lose a game, maybe two. You could blow up your team's confidence. You could blow up your fan base. You could blow up your franchise. You could blow up a career. Well, kids, what we've learned today is that proper chemistry is the formula for football success.
Was in there.
Oh, wow, I want to bust with a reload of Saskatchewan fans. Now, these guys are rowdy. They are cheering on their Rough Rider clan. It's been a long time since the Riders were last 7-4. What are you looking to see from your Riders tonight?
Well, you know, we've obviously shown we've lost the past 2 games. You'd think Rider pride was at an all-time low, but Sean, it's at an all-time high right now. We're excited about today's game. And Mosaic Stadium holds a mystique. And when you get in that stadium, you know, you played here.
I know.
It's a big deal.
It is a very big deal. You know, the last win you guys had, Kerry Joseph with the big star, busting through the Bombers' line to score the winning touchdown. Are you looking for similar heroics for him tonight?
Sean, let me just show my jersey.
All right, let's see it. Wow, there we go.
Yeah, I know who's important on this football team. Kerry Joseph's got to go out on the contract. He's got to be an athlete. Kerry Joseph is an athlete. We know how good he can be, and he's going to be good today.
All right, let's go. Go, Riders, go. Go, Riders, go. Go, Riders, go. Go, Riders.
All journalistic objectivity thrown out the window. Casey Printers, as you know, was injured last night. The Tiger Cats are saying they won't know about his left hamstring until he returns from a couple of days off and rehab. So Richie Williams came off the bench, and this was the go-ahead touchdown. 19 yards to Jesse Lumsden. Great to see him back in the lineup last night. And the Tiger Cats gave their fans something to cheer about, a victory. The second one all year when Achilles Smith was intercepted by Dwight Anderson at the end of the game. However, the big story coming out of Calgary is this. Henry Burris, updated today, dislocated left shoulder. He's out for a while. They can't put a time frame on it yet. That was the hit by Zeke Moreno, and Sean Millington, there's a question about whether or not this was clean.
I don't know how there can be any sort of a question. I mean, I like Zeke. He's a great athlete, but he definitely hit Henry Burris out of bounds. Henry's on his belly, sliding, has crossed the white paint, and then all of a sudden Zeke comes, whap. He's out of bounds. It's a penalty.
I know how there can be a question. I have a question. I don't think it was a penalty. I think it was a fair play. I mean, Henry Burris, if you look at that, his feet are still inbounds when he falls down. Zeke Moreno is already falling on him. And you have to ask yourself the question, if he was a running back on that play, or if he didn't get hurt on that play, would you call anything? Would you even think about it? I don't think you would.
Hold on a second here, Curry. I got my glasses here somewhere for you. I
want you to watch that again, too.
But I would say that if, in fact, it was penalty, it would have taken a tough situation, which Achilles Smith was put into a very tough situation. They took too many men on the field, which pushed them further back. The ball had to be in his hands. It would have put them around the one, which you put it into Joffrey Reynolds' hands, and that's a good opportunity to be able to score for the Stampeders.
By the way, do want to mention some great news today about Kirk Sweet, the Stampeders offensive line coach. He was taken out of the locker room with what was initially being called heart issues. It was an anxiety attack, and he is going back to Calgary tonight. Now, the other question, Kahari, is Casey Printers. He's hurt. We don't know if he'll play next week, and Richie Williams has looked great now twice in relief for him.
I'm a Richie Williams fan, believe me. It's unfortunate about Casey Printers' injury. I think he was playing well before the injury, but I like Casey Printers. I mean, I like Richie Williams, excuse me. And one of the things that I have to ask the Hamilton Tiger Cats is that why didn't you find out what you had before you went out and got Casey Printers? My feeling is they're both the same type of quarterback. Richie Williams is what he was, what Casey Printers was a couple of years ago. So you had that guy in your camp. I say you ride with him. The team seems to rally around him, and he's playing great football.
All right, one other quarterback to update, and that's for tomorrow, Sean Millington. Last week in Hamilton, Kevin Glenn was injured. They called it initially a right knee strain, and after a couple of days where the entire city of Winnipeg held its breath, word is he's going to play. I don't like it. Do you?
I like it, and I'll give you the reason why. Football is like a chemical equation. You know, you change one element.
David Benefield?
You change one element of it, and everything's going to be radically different. You know, like David said, H2O, you take out one H, it's HO, and now it becomes homium. It's a metal. Totally different thing. And I think that when you do that, you take Kevin Glenn out of the mix, you never know what you're going to end up with.
Well, and I think it looked a lot worse to us watching it on tape than it actually was, because he was hobbling off. Right away, they put him onto the cart to get him off the field. I thought he's grabbing the outside of his leg, which you think maybe he's blown his ACL, but you know what? He had a knee strain. They tested it in practice, and everything was fine. So why would you take him out? You continue on aggressively going forwards.
You know what? I just have to say, I wouldn't take the chance. I'd give Ryan Dinwiddie the shot against Toronto. You got to play Toronto against once more in the regular season and maybe once in the playoffs. I'd give Glenn the week off and let Dinwiddie at least see that Toronto defense. Kahari says no, but I got the last word. Here we go. We got to go to commercial. When we come back, we'll break down more about BC and Saskatchewan as Jarius Jackson and Joe Smith admiring himself in the mirror on the CFL on CBC pregame presented by Campbell's Chunky.
Growing up in Saskatchewan, I always wanted to play on Taylor Field, and I wanted to catch passes from Kent Austin, and I wanted to, be in the locker room with Ray Allgard and Don Narcisse and all those kinds of guys. The Lions made a good offer. They've been very good to me as far as giving me opportunities to play in this league, and we came to terms, and it's something I'm very happy with.
And Claremont is a tough man to bring down.
To see players who have played 2 or 3 Grey Cups, and they only walk away with 1, and they just got that much more drive to get back. And we've been in 2, we've won 1, and we want to have a winning record, in that Grey Cup game, and so we need to get back and win another one. To say that I'm having an exceptional year is a little bit off in the fact that when I have been healthy, it's kind of the production that I have put up, in 04 and 05. So just kind of on pace. I do what I do consistently, and I think that's why the Lions like my role, and they wanted to continue and extend that.
Made in Canada, baby. That's made in Canada. Made in Canada.
Wally Buono said last week one of the reasons he was so determined to re-sign Jason Claremont is the attitude he sets for the team, and you saw lots of that there. Tonight, Claremont will be catching passes from Jarius Jackson. It was interesting to see how both Ken Austin and Wally Buono said that he's so much more relaxed as the starting quarterback now, not trying to force it. And one of the reasons is the guy he's handing it to, Joe Smith, the #1 rusher in the Canadian Football League, 26 yards ahead of Charles Roberts. And Sean Millington may be the league's most outstanding player?
Well, I think he's certainly making a strong case for that. As you mentioned, Elliot, he leads the league in touchdowns. He's also second in yards from scrimmage. And I think when you have a team that last year had the #1 receiver and now their top receiver is 9th, when you have a guy like Joe Smith, that's a godsend because he's producing most of their offense.
Yeah, and for Joe Smith, I don't even look at the stats. I really do the look test for him. And I mean, and that is week in and week out when you see the games and who looks like the best player on the field. And it's Joe Smith. I mean, you can't say that about too many people in the West. I know Ricky Ray can be in that conversation, but Joe Smith is doing so much for his team right now that I don't think the stats matter.
Okay, now the stats on him are pretty good, and so were the stats on the BC defense last week, Greg. 8 turnovers forced against Toronto, just 163 yards of total offense and only 12 first downs for the Argonauts.
Yeah, they were fantastic and just confused. Only 11 completions for Bishop in the Toronto Argonauts last week. But the key that I would look at right now, although Javi Galat, their middle linebacker, is coming back from his ankle injury, Jamal Johnson has got a groin pull. He is the strong side linebacker, and he is now out of the lineup. Jay Pottinger, the young player, linebacker, is now going to move into an unfamiliar position, and I do not believe that Javi Galat is 100%. So if Wes Cates gets rolling for the Saskatchewan Roughriders, which he did the last time the Roughriders played them with having over 100 yards, then that's going to be a key factor in this ballgame.
I'm shocked to hear somebody questioning whether or not a football player is accurately reporting an injury. Here is that player, Javi Galat with Steve Armitage. Steve?
Thanks, Elliot. Javi, you've missed 4 games. You're going to start today. Are you 100%?
Well, I'm hoping to become game time. It takes a while to get warmed up and going. I don't think anyone's 100% at this point of the year, so it's just a matter of if can I help us, win the game. I feel like I can, and hopefully go out there and make some plays for us. So we're going to give it a go today.
What's going to test the ankle more than anything else?
Change of direction and all that kind of stuff. But we got some good tape jobs we've been working on. And, once you get out there, the injury's out of my mind. It's about playing football. And what's happening with the injuries all in the past is about, getting down there, making tackles, and getting their offense off the field.
Is the key to stopping that offense pressuring Kerry Joseph?
Oh, and there's no doubt about him. You looking at film, he does a lot better when he's got time to set up and stare down his receivers and make a good throw. So we got to make it both confusing on the back end as far as our coverage goes and put some guys in his face to pressure his throws.
Javi, thanks for this. Good luck today.
No problem. Thank you.
Javi Galat back in the middle calling the signals for the BC Lions defense. Elliot?
Steve, last couple of weeks, this guy has had a lot of people in his face. Just 23 of 40, 247 yards and a pick. But Kahari, it's not the passing stats that concern you.
No, the biggest thing that concerns me is the running. 9 yards in one game, 11 yards in another.
And there's the great run against Winnipeg.
Exactly. He needs to do this to be effective. Kerry Joseph is a double threat quarterback. Not necessarily just a running quarterback, but he needs that running to get him in rhythm on passing the football. And I think when he is not running the football, they are not going to be as effective.
Sean, the big story, as Eric Tillman mentioned off the top, is that they are not expecting, they're going under the assumption that Matt Dominguez is going to be out for the season.
And the guy who's going to miss Matt Dominguez the most is actually DJ Flick, because with Dominguez, the amount of attention that he brings, Flick is actually able to get open, and as a result, he's the 3rd highest scoring touchdown scorer in the league right now. And I think You've got Yo Murphy coming in to substitute for Dominguez, but I don't know if they're going to have that same level of relationship that he had with Dominguez.
You know what? DJ Flick said a really interesting thing yesterday. He made the comment that he's seeing the safety so much more down closer to the goal line. He is becoming the defense's focus of attention. But the questions, Greg, are also defensively. Saskatchewan, in their first 8 games, 256 yards allowed passing per game. Last 3, it's up by almost 100, 343.
Yeah, they have had 2 very sloppy games the last 2 weeks, but those are the only 2 games that they have allowed their opponent to rush for more than 100 yards. They are great at stopping the run, and that bodes very well against this BC Lions team that wants to run the football. And the reason why they have not been very good and been sloppy is because they have not been aggressive, very passive. Look for them to pin their ears back tonight and be able to come after the BC Lions.
All right, panel picks. Millington, you're first.
Well, I'm going to go with the BC Lions because I believe that right now they're on a roll. I know they've only won 1 game in the last little while, but I think that's all it takes for these Lions. And right now, Saskatchewan is a little bit suffering, I think.
Well, I think I surprised you, Elliot, because I'm going to take the Saskatchewan Roughriders. I think this is a defining moment in their season because the psychological impact is huge. They have to obviously send a message to the BC Lions because they will play them in the playoffs, but they also have to send a message to themselves that they are a Grey Cup contending team.
I'm going with the Saskatchewan Roughriders, too. I just feel like the home cooking, when you get 2 very good teams playing against each other in this league and the one team has a home field advantage, most of the time that team wins. I think Saskatchewan is going to come out and play with a lot of passion today, and Kerry Joseph is going to have a very good game.
That's the undefeated Kahari Jones. I have to say this, my late grandfather, once the mayor of Wilkie, Saskatchewan, wouldn't like to see this, but I'm going with BC. I think they are reestablishing themselves as the best team in the Canadian Football League. They've become comfortable winning with their 3rd-string guy there, and that's why they're my pick tonight. When we come back, we will send you to the game call. Mark Lee, and I'm sorry, Chris Walby? Does he still work here? Chris Walby back tonight. The CFL on CBC pregame presented by Campbell's Chunky should be a great one. Enjoy it, everybody.
It's the last day of summer. The harvest is all but done, and now the football season on the prairies gets serious, with first place at stake in the West. A carnival atmosphere will descend on Mosaic Stadium tonight, and when the dust settles, one team will stand alone atop the West Division. In Saskatchewan, a first-half run that electrified the prairies has stumbled with 2 straight losses. A struggling defense, injuries, and cries for change from the Rough Rider faithful have raised the pressure to win to a fever pitch. The Lions have overcome losing their top 2 quarterbacks and are living up to their reputation as the team to beat in the CFL. With powerhouse Joe Smith in the backfield, can Jarius Jackson lead the Lions to another championship? They're neck and neck as they hit the home stretch. Who will fall back and who will surge ahead? The answer is blowing in the prairie wind. They're all dressed up with bells on tonight. A capacity crowd gathering at Mosaic Stadium at Taylor Field for tonight's first place showdown in the West Division. Under the big prairie sky, it's the BC Lions and Saskatchewan Roughriders meeting for the 3rd and final time this season. The series tied at 1 win apiece, and so this is the rubber match, which could very well be decisive in a home playoff game here in Regina for the first time in nearly 20 years. Good evening, I'm Mark Lee with the big man, Chris Walby. Well, the Riders have stumbled out of first place with 2 consecutive losses. Chris,
The head coach, Kent Austin, reading the riot act to his team this week, especially to a defense which coughed up nearly 1,000 yards in offense the last 2 losses.
Well, in a one-word summation by defensive coordinator Richie Hall, their play the last couple of games has been sickening. They've got to straighten it out. They've got to get their ship back on right order, and the one guy to do that, I believe, is Fred Perry. Now, the interesting story about Fred Perry is this, you know, he's a 7-year veteran. He's been with 5 football clubs. Nobody wanted this guy. But in 3 years with Saskatchewan, he's in his 41st game. Coincidentally, his number. He's also got 31 quarterback sacks, leads the team in tackles, forced fumbles. He is getting it done. He has to get the rest of his teammates to pick up on his energy.
I know you got a soft spot for Fred Perry. You made him a Warrior last year.
And he's well on his way again this year.
How about BCense? Now, their defense in BC devoured the Argos last week, contributing to 7 turnovers. And defense really is BC's strong suit.
Well, BC's defense has allowed BC to be in first place because of the fact, with all the injuries at quarterback with Dickinson and Buck Pierce, they have allowed Jarius Jackson to mature. One of the key players, Cameron, don't call me Derek Wake. This guy is now my leading contender for Outstanding Rookie of the Year. Not only leads the CFL with 11 quarterback sacks, he leads the BC Lions defense in tackles as well as forced fumbles. So the story today is a couple of defensive ends, Fred Perry on Saskatchewan and Cameron Wake of the BC Lions.
Yeah, Wally Buono said the first time he saw Cameron Wake rush the quarterback in training camp, he knew this guy was a star. How about your game notes?
Well, let's talk about for BC. I mean, obviously we're going to talk about no ordinary Joe, and I'm talking about Joe Smith. 6 yards short of 1,000 yards rushing. He has got to be a factor today to take some of the pressure off Jarius Jackson at quarterback. On defense line, Kings. This is a defense that just creates turnovers by the bushel. They lead the league with 37 sacks and 17 interceptions. They want to do some more damage tonight to Saskatchewan. For Saskatchewan on the other side offensively, hey, it's carry the load. We know that Kerry can throw the ball. Kerry Joseph's got a great arm, but he must utilize his legs to put pressure on the BC defense. And on defense, hey, hunt for character. No character last 2 games. I know Reggie Hunt's going to stand up today. Will the rest of his teammates follow suit?
This game has been sold out for more than a month. The euphoria that swept this province during the first half of the season has quickly evaporated, though. A 7-2 start followed by a 2-game losing skid, sparking an ebb and flow of emotions here in Ryder City. Wally Buono says this is a critical game because both teams desperately want to win that season series. And Kent Austin put everyone on notice after last week's 44-22 loss to Calgary. Everyone, he said, including his coaches and their game plan. They went back to basics, and we'll see if it works out. Corey Holmes from the 25, and he's brought down quickly, a gain on the return of just 7 yards. And the Saskatchewan offense will go to work behind starting quarterback Kerry Joseph, making his 12th start of the season. He's been pulled, though, Chris Walby, in the last 2 games.
Well, he definitely has, but the fact is they've got a very capable backup in Marcus Crandall, who was an MVP in one of the Grey Cup games with Calgary Stampeders, so he can get it done as well.
Kent Austin saying that Kerry Joseph needs to use his legs. He needs to run more to be effective as a passer. In the shotgun, 6 receivers downfield, throwing on first down. It's complete, and Corey Holmes, working into the offense at slot back, has his first catch in green and white this year.
Well, Corey Holmes, who, as you say, 4th game, that's the first reception of the year. They've only utilized him on special teams. He's got to be more involved in this offense. It's a great way to get Kerry Joseph, get him the football early on.
Yo Murphy in his 2nd start at wide receiver, replacing the injured Matt Dominguez. We heard Eric Tillman saying in the pregame it doesn't look good for Matt Dominguez ever coming back this season. 2nd and 2 after the gain of 8 to Corey Holmes. Play action. Joseph running. He's covered by Javi Gladden, beats the linebacker and slides for a first down. Joseph moves the yardsticks as we check that BC defense.
Well, that's a good BC defense, and that front four is going to have their hands full, especially if Kerry Joseph decides to pull it down and run. Johnson and Wake at the ends, but Tyree, watch Williams, 96. He's the big one. Tyrone in the middle. Javi Glad back in the lineup after missing the past 4 games. He's big games against the Roughriders this year. And a secondary. And how about Ryan Phillips? League leading 8 interceptions already.
Yeah, he could probably have an even dozen if he'd caught a few others. First down, Saskatchewan. Four-man rush from BC. Time. Now Joseph throwing deep downfield for Corey Grant, and it's overthrown. But a flag on the play, and this is going to come against the Lions as Joseph was knocked to the turf after releasing the ball. Tyrone Williams.
Mark, and Tyrone Williams is a man I told you to watch for, because in 8 games against the Saskatchewan Roughriders.
Roughing the passer, BC number 96, 15-yard penalty, first down.
In 8 games against the Saskatchewan Roughriders, he has 8 quarterback sacks. This time he just gets there a little late. Kerry Joseph, great protection initially, but look at that strength as he just bulldozes the right guard back into him. Actually knocks Kerry Joseph down with his offensive lineman, so a little bit of a questionable call there.
Well, ever since Dave Dickinson was knocked out with the concussion shot from Fred Perry by the Saskatchewan team, the officials have been guarding those quarterbacks more closely. First down, Joseph. Handing off to Wes Cates. Cates up the gut. And Tyrone Williams gets his hands on him to bring him down with some help there from Aaron Hunt.
Well, they really got to utilize Wes Cates. He's got the only 100-yard rushing game for the Saskatchewan Roughriders this year, and it was against the BC Lions the last times I met. 17 carries for 103 yards. Now they got that 1-2 punch. We'll see Corey Holmes in the backfield as well.
Riders really need Wes Cates to fill the void left by the injury to Matt Dominguez. The gain was just 2 on the carry by Cates, 2nd and 8. Lions show blitz, then drop off. 5 receiver set, pressure. Joseph gets the ball away, and it's complete. Andy Fantuz open on the corner route behind Ryan Phillips, and a first down.
Well, this play takes time to develop, so you better get protection for your offensive line. Kerry Joseph gets that protection. They form a nice wall in front of him. He's going to sit back, and now he has to wait for him to come across. And as he cuts it back to the sideline, you can see he gets away from the cover man, Ryan Phillips. But again, you get time, your receivers can get open.
Ken Austin has been hard on Kerry Joseph to make sure of the routine passes, to make the sure completions, and that one went for 16 to Fantuz. First down, movement along the line of scrimmage. Flags are down on the pitch out to Wes Cates, and he's hit immediately on the corner by Jason Pottinger, who is starting his 8th game, Chris, in his 3rd different linebacking position because of injuries to that linebacking core in BC.
Well, the first-round draft pick out of McMaster last year, as you say, being pressed into duty because of injuries to the linebackers and playing all of those positions and playing them very well.
Offside. BC number 96, 5-yard penalty, still first down.
Tyrone Williams with his 2nd penalty of this opening drive.
Well, he's just right there. He's just going to jump, and they got a little bit of a stunt going, and he just tries to get to that inside gap.
Every game this year, Wally Buono's Lions have had fewer penalties than their opponents, but they're 2 to the bad on this one so far. Joseph, quick shot on the hook route to DJ Flick. He has his first catch, breaks the tackle, finally wrestled to the turf, got away from Javi Glatt initially, and it will be a first down.
And you see a little bit more jump in the step in this offense. This offense has been under fire. Ken Austin said we have to make sure we can get the little things done right, and that means our short passing game has to start working. This is a timing route, nothing fancy. Get to the spot, get the ball there quickly, and make the catch and do all 3 of those elements.
DJ Flick has been bottled up ever since the injury to Matt Dominguez. They like to work in tandem. First down, back to pass, Joseph throwing out of the backfield to Wes Cates. Gets a block from Fantuz, heads upfield, breaks a tackle, and is finally gang tackled just shy of the goal line.
Well, you want to put the ball in your playmakers' hands and let them do the rest. It's going to be a little swing pass. Here's number 20. He's just going to fly out of the backfield. Watch as he give him the football. But as you say, Andy Fantuz, that's a nice job. Now, Otis Floyd doesn't make the tackle. You're actually on the wrong side. He cuts outside of him, but you do enough to disrupt him that he cannot make the play. Let's take a look at Brent Johnson, last year's outstanding defensive player and Canadian, working against Gene Mikowski, who 2-time winner of the most outstanding offensive lineman. Good matchup there. We'll have to watch that all afternoon.
First and goal from the goal line. The plunge, touchdown, Kerry Joseph. The Riders drive from their own 37 and hit the end zone on their first offensive series with Kerry Joseph's 8th rushing touchdown of the season.
And I don't want to put the jinx on him as we take a look at the replay. Great surge. Everybody going toward the center, trying to form a little bit of a V, almost like the geese as they're flying south. And he ducks in right behind the center, and it's an easy 1-yard plunge.
Point after is good from Luka Kanji, and the home team spots a 7-0 lead at home. Kerry Joseph engineering the game's first touchdown on their opening offensive drive.
That's a nice job of just going to the left side of the line, getting behind the big hoggies there. There's Makowski and Smith and O'Day, and they're just going to converge right there, and he's just going to take it and go right behind him. It's a nice job, a nice execution. Find the bubble, because all the defensive linemen are taught to get to the gap. That means they're slanting inside. He takes it to the outside.
A deep kickoff. And Smart, the CFL's leading kick returner, no chance there as he concedes a single 1 yard from the baseline of the end zone. Jarius Jackson coming out for his 5th start of this season. He's 2-2 as a starter as we check the BC Lions starting offense.
Well, that's a good offense. I mean, they're really, really led not only by the running back, Joe Smith. I mean, he is the guy that's got to carry the load. How about the year that Paris Jackson's having outside of that wide receiver position? Leroy Simon, a little quiet, had a breakout game last weekend. The 2 tackles, Murphy and Jimenez, the bookends of brutality, as they're calling themselves now.
Double tight end formation, and they'll go with the CFL's leading rusher, Joe Smith, who needs 6 yards to crack the 1,000-yard barrier, and he has it on his first carry of the football game. The first time over 1,000 in the CFL in his 2nd season.
And the work is cut out for these guys. Perry and Schultz have got to do it. The backside check is only a 5th game. Got to pick it up. Linebackers, Maurice Lloyd. We talked about Reggie Hunt. Lucas is getting a start at that wide side. Sam linebackers got to make some plays, but it's the inside guys where the pressure is. Cornegay and Robinson, the halfbacks, will be tested early and often today.
2nd and 3 after the gain of 7 by Joe Smith. Jarius Jackson handing off to Joe Smith again, slashing through that linebacker zone before the middleman, Maurice Lloyd, makes the tackle. Joe Smith, who came into this football game the CFL rushing leader by 26 yards over Charles Roberts, and he continues to pad that lead.
And they have to utilize it. It makes sense to me. If you got a guy, your 3rd stringer, who's now your 1st stringer, and Jarius Jackson, you better utilize Joe Smith. Get him in there, take the pressure off, make the defense respect the run.
And the run has been the strong point of this BC offense the last 4 games. Smith averaging 108 yards. They go to the air for the first time. Jarius Jackson incomplete as the ball hits the turf, looking for Paris Jackson.
And just a bit of a communication problem because Jarius Jackson thought Paris Jackson was going to break to the outside. Paris Jackson curled to the inside. He threw it to the wide open spot. There was no one there. Fortunate not to get that ball intercepted, especially when you have miscommunication like that. They'll get that worked out quickly, though.
Jarius Jackson coming off his best game as a starting quarterback last week in that 40-7 victory over Toronto, passing for 264 yards. A 2nd and long, 2nd and 10 situation for Jackson and the Lions. Flag down, Jackson throwing down the sideline for Corey Rogers. Check that, Paris Jackson, and it's incomplete, but flags flying all over the field near the line of scrimmage.
And Paris Jackson, in the 4 games that Jarius Jackson has been the quarterback, has been the go-to guy, the receiver for Jarius Jackson.
Offside, BC number 81. Penalties decline, 3rd down.
Leroy Simon offside, and that'll cost them.
Well, it's just going to be jumping, and it's just at the top right there. He tries to check it, trying to come back, but one of the ones that make your coach get a lot more gray hair than Wally Bono has already.
Paul McCallum with a 43.7-yard punt average, set to deliver his first punt of the football game. Former Rider lost to the 23. Corey Holmes straight up the middle and dropped at the 35. A 40-yard punt, a 12-yard return on the CFL on CBC. Welcome back to Mosaic Stadium at Taylor Field under the big prairie sky this evening in a first-place showdown. Kerry Joseph back to work after directing a touchdown drive on his opening series, rushing twice during that series, as many times as he had in the previous 2 games combined, getting his legs going as a mobile quarterback. Joseph throwing downfield. Yo Murphy, he's got it. Yo Murphy in his second start with the Riders, taking the spot of Matt Dominguez.
Well, an excellent protection again. I mean, look at that line. You got a great place, a great sight line to throw downfield. 2 of the receivers are going to go one. DJ Flick's going to come up the field and cut to the inside of the field. Fat Twos is going to take it short to the inside, and that allows Yo Murphy to take it to the outside. They just fall off the coverage.
Yo Murphy, a former teammate of Kerry Joseph's back in the day with the Ottawa Renegades, connecting for the first time here today for 34 yards. Wes Cates takes the handoff up the middle and pushes the pile. Tyrone Williams at that nose tackle position, first to make contact. But Wes Cates will move the chains for about 5.
Now this offensive line, Mark, has taken a little bit of heat in the last couple of weeks. Too many hits on the quarterback. They want to keep Kerry Joseph fresh and untouched. That's always the game plan, and right now they're playing pretty good football.
That was the talk, that both the Bombers and the Stampeders attacked Joseph and kept him from using his legs. 5 of 6 through the air so far tonight for 81 yards. 2nd down and 5, Saskatchewan. Here comes the blitz. Joseph with protection again, throws cross field. It's caught by Mike Washington, one of the newcomers at receiver here in Saskatchewan, but a flag is down and this play is coming back, holding the indication against Saskatchewan. On the sidelines this evening, our quarterback, Kahari Jones.
Hey guys, I think everybody agrees that Kerry Joseph has to use his legs in this game. But I think 2 things are going to prevent him from doing that, at least early on. One, they're going with the wind right now, and you want to utilize that wind and throw as much as you can while you have the wind. And the second thing is that Kerry Joseph is just reading this defense very well, and he's throwing good balls, so you want to utilize that. You also don't know how healthy Kerry Joseph is right now. So those are the 3 factors. I think Kerry Joseph is throwing the ball great right now, though.
Yeah, he sure is, and we know that Kerry Joseph has been banged up at midseason, but they do want to see him use his legs more.
Mark, I got to interrupt you just a little bit. Who is not banged up at midseason in a football season? They're all beat up. They all got injuries. That's just, I mean, that's part of the game. I know Kerry Joseph's taken some knocks. He might have a little bit of a quad injury, but you know what? You got to take off. He's been running well, and he's sitting back there. He's getting great drops right now. I agree with Kahari. He's throwing the ball extremely well, but the boys up front are affording him that luxury.
Well, the big man will accept no excuses when it comes to playing with pain, and neither will Kent Austin, telling us that yesterday. If you're going to play, you better be good. 2nd and 15 after the holding call to the Roughriders. A 6-receiver set. Joseph again with lots of time, and he overthrows Wes Cates wide open in the flats, and we've seen that time and time this season where there is a man open and he's either underthrown or overthrown by Kerry Joseph.
Well, we just talked about that offensive line, and we talked about Cam Wake in the opening. Now, here he is right here. 11 sacks coming into this football game, the rookie out of Penn State. Watch as he comes up, tries to go outside. Look at this job. Great job by Jermise Jones. And you got to love the finish, son. That's exactly what you do. You put him on the ground, and you make sure he stays there.
He's a live wire on that BC defense. But Kerry Joseph has got to make those routine completions. A point that was reinforced yesterday by his head coach. And a flag on the play. Still 20 seconds showing on the play clock. It's a procedure call coming against Saskatchewan.
Well, Saskatchewan, who is the least penalized team in the CFL coming into this game this afternoon, taking a penalty on the special teams.
Jamie Borum in uniform here tonight. There was some concern that he might not be able to play because of a leg injury.
Saskatchewan number 59, 5-yard penalty, still 3rd down.
That's Jocelyn Fournette. That's the long snapper. And a lot of times when you do the procedure, it's because he's actually moving the ball up just before he snaps it back to the kicker.
Gorham was saying he wouldn't be denied by a little nick. And so he's set to punt. Ian Smart, the leading punt returner in the CFL, is back. His punt is angled. Smart gets it though at 12. Smart up the numbers, tripped up. Rontarius Robinson holding the league's leading kick returner to just 11.
This game is huge for us as players. It's a game, obviously it's on the road. We've won here before this year. They came to our house, beat us. It's a game that we feel is going to set the tempo for the rest of the Western Conference.
Yes, this game has all the trappings of a playoff encounter at the end of September. Jackson throwing incomplete as Geroy Simon was just coming out of his break and saw the ball at the last minute.
And again, one of those timing things where as you get used to a quarterback, he'll throw it to a spot. The receiver, because of the repetitions with that quarterback, will know exactly where it is. As Simon turns, the ball's just there a little quicker than he anticipated. He couldn't get his hands right on it.
Jarius Jackson has completed less than half of his passes so far this year, but got a ringing endorsement coming into this game from his head coach. He said, "I'm tickled pink with Jarius." Not to show any disrespect to the other quarterbacks, but he's earned the right to continue to lead the charge. Here he is on second down in traffic, and a completion. No, it's deflected, intercepted by Maurice Lloyd. Lloyd returning it back, and a pitch out to James Johnson, and Johnson finally wrestled to the turf in a pinball effort.
And Claremont thought he was interfered with on the play. He thought they hit him before. The ball was there. He looked around after the play rather than give chase. He turned to find the official. Take a look as we just go down. He's just going to come into the middle, and here he is right there. Now that's him. He's right there now. 31 Lucas makes some contact. From that angle, it's hard to tell if he made it just as the ball arrived, but Maurice Lloyd, the recipient of that tip ball, and he hands it off to James Johnson, and a big play for that Saskatchewan defense.
Maurice Lloyd's first interception of the season, and the Riders looking to capitalize on the Lions' first turnover. Joseph pumps, throws down the sideline. Washington's got it. Touchdown, Saskatchewan. Mike Washington, the rookie out of Charleston Southern, with his second receiving touchdown of the season.
Well, Mike Washington, who set all kinds of records at Charleston Southern as a kick returner and as a defensive back. It's an opportunity to play wide receiver here. We saw his first game against Winnipeg, had a nice game, kind of absent last week. We want to see. They're expecting him to make some big plays and fill in some of the void of the Matt Dominguez situation.
Point after is good. Mike Washington, they like his speed, helping to open it up for DJ Flick, but he gets one tonight. Mike Washington, the recipient of Kerry Joseph's first touchdown pass in 3 games.
Well, they're just going to bring forward the BC Lions defense well, and they get picked up. Should never get pressure at 5-on-4. So we take a look at this. Now freeze it here, guys. Take a look at this. That's Glover right here. He gets beat. Now that's Corey Banks. He's going to try and come over and help, but it's much too late. Easy throw, touchdown. Big play, especially after a turnover.
Yeah, it's normally the Lions that feast on turnovers, but tonight, Mike Washington getting the first touchdown off a turnover and helping to stake Saskatchewan to a 15-0 lead. Ian Smart starting from his 5-yard line. Smart makes a few moves. Now he gets to open field. Now down the sidelines in a foot race. Ian Smart running out of gas and shoved out of bounds by James Johnson. An electrifying return by the CFL's most exciting kick returner. 83 yards on the return.
And how do you get some momentum back on your bench? It's on special teams. And Ian Smart, who leads the league in kickoff return yardage and punt return yardage, shows his stuff as he finds an opening, gets to the outside, and You got to give a little kudos to James Johnson to catch up finally, otherwise it would have been a touchdown for the Lions.
Ian Smart's longest kick return of the season, 83, as he continues to build his lead in all-purpose yards. And a big first down for Jarius Jackson. Handing off Joe Smith off tackle to the short side, and he's hammered. A short gain on the play against a Rider defense, still ranked tops in the league against the run, and a defense that really curtailed Joe Smith in 2 previous games of rushing.
Well, they needed to pick it up big time today. In the past 2 games, Mark, they've given up over 370 yards on the ground, both to Winnipeg and Calgary. Well, they have got to do a better job against Joe Smith. And that's a nice job of stringing it out. And the man that pushed out Ian Smart, James Johnson, is the guy that brings down Joe Smith.
Fred Perry, the anchor man of that Saskatchewan defense, takes his spot along the line on 2nd and 8. Jackson under pressure, and he's down. Marcus Adams. But a flag on the play downfield.
Well, it was thrown in the secondary, and that usually indicates a little bit of defensive holding or contact, and that's what they're going to call. They're going to call contact against the Saskatchewan secondary, so that great pass rush will be negated.
Well, that's let the air out of the balloon here at Taylor Field.
Illegal block, ends to the face, Saskatchewan number 17. 10-yard penalty, first down.
Tad Cornegay, who's getting the start here tonight for Jermaine Chapman, gets the call, which wipes out that big defensive play, and it's first down.
And those are big penalties, Mark, because you had them second, they would have had to try a field goal at worst. Now you give them a fresh set of downs at the 10-yard line.
First and goal from the 10. Double tight end formation for BC. They go on the ground to Joe Smith, and he's going nowhere. Tackled at the line of scrimmage. Maurice Lloyd factors large again.
Well, Maurice Lloyd brings Joe Smith down, but Fred Perry forces him back to the inside. Joe Smith wants to have an option. He wants to be able to take it, not only here, but he wants to go to the outside. They're trying to seal it. Fred Perry does not allow 2 men to seal him, forces Joe Smith back inside. Maurice Lloyd does the rest.
No gain. Second and goal from the 10 for the Lions. Capacity crowd getting noisy. Jackson straight back to pass. Throwing down the middle. Touchdown. Corey Rogers just across the line of scrimmage with his 3rd touchdown of the season.
And a nice job of the BC line, offensive line, who didn't give up a sack last week against the Argonauts, of allowing Jarius Jackson to have the time to find Rogers as he curls just past the goal line. Good protection. Angus Reid, good throwing lane, sits there, waits. That's a nice job of adjusting to the football by Corey Rogers.
McCallum with the convert, and the Lions are on the board. Corey Rogers' 3rd touchdown reception, and the 6th touchdown pass thrown by Jarius Jackson. And Jackson, with every game as a starter, Chris, is gaining more composure.
Well, he's doing a nice job, and they want him just to protect the football. But again, look at the throwing lane. He's got all this lane to throw the ball, and there is Corey Rogers as he works and comes back away from Arabin Justin and puts himself in front of the defensive back where only he has an opportunity to come up with that catch.
They love Corey Rogers' speed, a 4th-round NFL draft pick. His hands have always been the big question mark. Dropped one last week, and is prone to the drops, but holds on to his first catch of the game, and it's a big one, as the BC Lions answer back that turnover touchdown of Mike Washington.
And a big play in the fact that you take away that illegal contact, and they would have been forced to kick a field goal, instead give him a fresh set of downs on a 10, and the end result is a touchdown.
Jarius Jackson has built some continuity with his receivers. It is 5th start with the injuries to Dave Dickinson and Buck Pierce.
We can run around the goal line and me just keep it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like nobody's around the back.
And the big return of 83 yards by Ian Smart, making a difference, tilting the field in BC's favor. and leading to their first scoring play of the game.
Well, you know as well as I do, this game is all about field position, and Ian Smart just gives you instant field position.
The league leader in all-purpose yards coming into this game with those big numbers. More than 400 yards ahead of Charles Roberts in that department.
Come on, Merck.
Corey Holmes looking to rekindle the play that made him the special teams leader in 2005 here in green and white. But it's tough sledding on that return as he's brought down just shy of the 25. James Bethia on special teams making the tackle for BC. But the anatomy of the BC scoring drive looked like this. Ian Smart weaving his way through the Rider cover team, 83 yards on the kick return. And then Jarius Jackson, poised in the pocket, finds Corey Rogers in the end zone for the touchdown. Riders back in offense at their own 25. Joseph has been prolific so far in this first quarter. Throwing again with time. A deep corner for Yo Murphy. There's contact there with Ryan Phillips and no call as Phillips admonishes the crowd here at Taylor Field.
That's a good no call, just the feet getting tangled up as Yo Murphy tried to take it to the sidelines. He tried to push Ryan Phillips up the field, hoping to get some separation and break it off to the sidelines. Ball a little bit overthrown anyway.
And Tyrell Williams got in the face of the Rider quarterback right there.
You see as he's trying to break, he's got, and the feet just, it's actually Yo Murphy who trips over Ryan Phillips on that play anyway.
So make it 2nd and 10. Second down conversions have been tough against this BC defense. The ball's away and complete. Andy Fantuz breaks another tackle and heads upfield. And a first down for Saskatchewan, a gain of 15 yards.
And Andy Fantuz, who caught his first touchdown pass of the season last week against Toronto. Against Calgary, excuse me. He is a big playmaker. This is a guy who's got gigantic hands. He had dropped a number of balls earlier in the season. They actually sat him out a game to try and just wake him up. Maybe a little bit of that sophomore jinx, but responding with a great catch there.
Fantuz already ahead of his receiving pace of his rookie year. Movement by Brent Johnson. Flags are down. Joseph throwing to the wide side. Corey Grant is wide open. A spin move at the sidelines. And stepping out of bounds on Mark Washington, who has moved to that wide side corner position, but a flag at the 40 back near the line of scrimmage.
Well, that'll go against Brent Johnson. Nice job of changing the cadence.
BC number 97. Penalties decline. First down.
Here's Kahari Jones on the sidelines.
Guys, one of the things I'm seeing from this vantage point is the offensive line of the Saskatchewan Roughriders is just winning the battle up front. I think that's one of the things that BC Lions really won is the defensive line battle last week, but this week the offensive line is picking up all blitzes and giving Kerry Joseph a lot of time back there.
Yes, Joseph has had 4 or 5 steamboats dropping back. More time here. Downfield, open is Wes Cates on a crossing route and tackled just shy of the first down by Otis Floyd.
And Mark, you know that a former quarterback, Kahari Jones, he recognizes when an offensive line is doing a good job.
That's the final play of the first quarter. And Kerry Joseph has the Riders on the rampage in this battle for first in the West Division from Mosaic Stadium at Taylor Field. You're looking at the BC sideline where LeVar Glover, the boundary cornerback, has been helped off the field injured. He's wearing the mic tonight for the CBC.
Mic'd Up, brought to you by Rogers, Canada's most reliable wireless network.
Ain't nothing to worry about. Hey, we good, baby. All right? Phil, you all right? All right, let's go. Huh? Come on, baby. You too light. You too little. They don't know yet.
So Glover opening the game with some vigorous vocals, but he's injured right now. 2nd and 1, and a first down on the handoff to Wes Cates. That's the 4th time in 5 second down conversions that have been successful for the Saskatchewan Roughriders as we check the first quarter statistics.
Well, they definitely wanted to work on that second down conversion, and obviously take a look at the first quarter stats. 10 passing yards for the BC Lions, albeit it is a touchdown on the one completion by Jarius Jackson. But what an opening quarter by Kerry Joseph, 155 yards passing, spreading the ball around, doing a nice job. It's reflected in the time possession, obviously one turnover by the BC Lions.
With the injury to LeVar Glover, the rookie James Bethia is in on the corner as Joseph drops back to pass on first down, throwing the deep ball. Fantuz has got it. Touchdown, Saskatchewan. And the air show continues in Regina.
Mark, we're going to beat this point to death all game, but if you don't get protection, you don't complete these balls. Fantuz does a nice job of getting some separation from the cover man. He gets some split as he gets away from Ryan Phillips. This is the man, Ryan Phillips, who leads the league in 8 interceptions. They call him the best cover guy on the BC Lions now. What's happening there? I tell you what, Fantuz is making him look like a rookie.
And Ryan Phillips got banged up earlier in the first quarter, nearly left the game but stayed in, so he may well be shaken up. Beaten there by the young Canadian as Luka Kanji puts an exclamation mark on that big scoring play of 29 yards to Andy Fantuz. Andy Fantuz didn't score his first touchdown till last week. Now he's got 2 in as many games.
Again, it all starts up front as we run this play, fellas. I want to show you one thing now, guys. Just freeze it right here. Take a look at this. Look at the bull. That's exactly how you script it. You want to have a great throwing line, and when that happens, that allows your receivers to get away from the cover guys. Fantuz does that, and 29 yards later, it's a touchdown. Watch Neil Hughes here as he does a great job of helping out, blocking against Otis Floyd. You got to work together. That's one of the hardest things to do, is have your fullbacks work with your offensive linemen and keep everybody off the quarterback.
The Hoggies in the limelight here tonight as Saskatchewan scores 3 touchdowns on 4 drives. The pitch from Rogers to Ian Smart. Smart so dangerous on the kick return, but this time he's run out of real estate as he goes out of bounds near the BC sideline. This has turned into a Wild West shootout, with Saskatchewan putting 3 touchdowns into the end zone and 4 drives, and Wally Buono now knowing that this offense of his needs to answer back to the likes of Andy Fantuz, who's already passed his receiving yardage of the entire season 1 year ago. And he's still got 7.5 games in him. Double tight formation for BC. Play action. Jackson looking downfield and nearly intercepted a tip ball there that was in behind the 2 receivers, and it was tipped by Tristan Clovis, the safety.
And there's something wrong with this play, and I'm a little surprised about it because of the fact that it involves G-Roy Simon. G-Roy Simon and Paris Jackson are way too close. You're going to run a little bit of a slide protection, double tight end, and watch at the end of this play. Freeze it, guys. Look at this. How do you end up having 2 receivers in the same spot? Can't do that. You're trying to separate them, create space for your receivers, not in the same area.
The passing game continues to be a bit sluggish for Jackson, who's good on only 42% of his completions in the first 2 games he faced Saskatchewan. Here he goes again, downfield deep for Paris Jackson, and just past his outreached hands. Incomplete, and the Lions will have to punt.
Just a little bit of a streak pattern, have him run straight down the sidelines, try to run away from the cover man, James Johnson. He's got to turn, he gets his hips turned, now it's catch up. Paris Jackson's got the step on him, but the ball just past the outstretched fingers.
There's Paris Jackson, the go-to man in the connection with Jarius Jackson. In 3 of the last 4 games that Jarius has been the starting quarterback, he has made Paris Jackson his leading receiver, either in receptions or yards or both. Now McCallum will have to punt. Paul McCallum with a beauty, a deep spiral. Corey Holmes at the 33 gets by the first man, cuts upfield through the first wave, and then Tyson Craigs, the long snapper, brings him down. A 47-yard punt and an 11-yard return by Corey Holmes.
Welcome back to Mosaic Stadium at Taylor Field in Regina, where the Riders lead the Lions 22-7. It is never too early to talk curling in this country, and who better than the defending world champion Kelly Scott. Kelly, what brings you to Regina last day of the summer?
Yeah, we're all about curling this weekend. We're here to kick off the Scotties Tournament of Hearts that will be held in Regina in February, and we're here to get people buying tickets and fill those seats for February.
Kelly, you're curling out of Kelowna. How nice would it be to represent Canada at the World Championships, which are set for Vernon this year?
Yeah, Vernon's about 45 minutes down the road from Kelowna, so it's right in our backyard, and we want nothing more than to be there this March wearing the Canadian colors and get to represent our country in Canada, in our own province. That would be wonderful.
Kelly, thanks for this. Good luck.
Thank you.
Guys?
Yeah, Steve, you can talk curling 24/7, 12 months of the year in this province. Kerry Joseph with a bullet across the middle, incomplete. Ryan Phillips is all over Yo Murphy. No catch, no chance there.
Well, it looked like Yo Murphy was all over Ryan Phillips. As he went over the ball, he kind of unceremoniously just pushed and actually hog-tied Phillips down to the ground. As we watch this, as it comes across, they're just going to come in the middle. It's going to just come into your screen right there. And take a look at that. Now watch as he goes down. Murphy actually grabs the back of his helmet, kind of puts him in a little bit of a face plant on the turf. Phillips gets up, a little disgusted.
That's okay. It's not two-hand touch.
I love your. That's the way it should be. You're finally coming around, Mark Lee.
That's the first 2 and out of the football game for the Saskatchewan offense. Phillips banged up in that first quarter with a big play on defense there. Jamie Borum has it blocked. A block punt. Ball loose. Josh Bowden jumps for it. Still loose. And Sean Lucas looks like he's on it for Saskatchewan. Baron Miles with his second block punt of the season. But Lucas on the ball.
Well, every time you do special teams, I can tell you, I can promise you, every special team coach around the league is always wondering where number 9 is lining up. Baron Miles is a master of finding the opening and blocking the punt. He's a specialist.
And so BC will take over in Saskatchewan territory as we look at the block again.
Well, he's just going to come straight up, and I mean, this is nobody picks him up. 45. I mean, you can't do that.
Mike McCullough.
You've got to block him to the outside. Just shuffle your feet over a little bit. I know you don't want to get in the line of the kick, but you have to get him to the outside. They let Baron Miles straight up the middle. Unforgivable.
Well, Baron Miles with his second block punt. First one in the season opener against Toronto and Noel Prefontaine. And the 35-year-old veteran's got lots of gas in the tank. As that playmaker makes a big one for BC. Double tight with a bunch formation to the wide side for BC on first down at the 27 of Saskatchewan. They'll run to the short side. It's Joe Smith carrying the mail across the 20-yard line. And a gain of 7.
Well, a gain of 7, and the first tackler to hit Joe Smith was the secondary as he was untouched through the line of scrimmage. That is a great job. Look at that, blocking everybody to the outside. Murphy, Reed, just doing a wonderful job of creating an opening that the running back Joe Smith can fly through.
It's the second time that this BC offense has been afforded field position to start the drive inside Saskatchewan territory. That Big Ian Smart return. The other. 2nd and 2. Pitch out. Joe Smith. First down.
I think for the BC Lions to be successful, you cannot forget about Joe Smith. Smith only carried the ball 4 times in the first quarter. You got to run him more. You have to establish him more. That'll take some of the pressure off your quarterback, Jarius Jackson, and open up some of the passing lanes. It's a nice job of pulling around again. Angus Reid, the center. That's a nice job of not only snapping the ball, but getting your big body around to the right side. Joe Smith with 6 carries. Sorry, Mark.
Sorry, Chris. A new set of downs. 1st and 10 from the Riders 17 in the double tight formation. Hand off to Joe Smith. Butting heads across the 10-yard line. The free safety, Tristan Clovis, and Scott Schultz, the defensive tackle, in on the play. But Reggie Hunt, one of the big linebackers in Saskatchewan, says that Joe Smith right now sets the gold standard at running back.
To me, he's probably one of the premier backs up here, because, you don't see it a lot, but he can make you miss, and he can run you over at the same time. I think he's a very good downhill runner, and to me, that's probably the most effective back.
2nd and 2 for the Lions. The give again is to Joe Smith. Up the gut. And it looks like he'll have enough for the first down, as the Lions now have been good on 5 of 8 second down conversions.
And Joe Smith with his 4th straight carry. And if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Stay with it. They're picking up 7 yards a crack on first down, running the ball with Joe Smith, and he's finishing off getting the first down by picking it up. Now he's going to reach for that line, that first down line, trying to get it, but they're going to bring the sticks into measure. I believe he got it. It's amazing when you look at Joe Smith's number. Mark, he's a 1,000-yard rusher, yet his longest run of the year is 38 yards, and he averages 5.7 yards a touch. I mean, he's just chewing up the yardage.
Well, they take a measurement here. Let's go down and check in with Kahari Jones.
Guys, I think we see clearly why this game is about offense, defense, and special teams. The special teams has really kept the BC Lions in this game in the first half and allowed them to do the things they want to do on offense, which is run Joe Smith. If not for those 2 special teams plays, the Ian Smart run and Baron Miles on the block, then they would have to get out of their comfort zone and use Jarius Jackson more.
Yes, Mike Benavides, who coaches special teams for BC, has been a guru. 2 key special teams plays. A new set of downs on the ground again. Joe Smith with a straight arm to Sean Lucas, but he can't get around the corner. Ontarius Robinson and Fred Perry helping to drive the big back out of bounds. And against this Saskatchewan defense, Joe Smith had his 2 lowest rushing games of the season in the previous encounters of 52 and 55 yards.
Well, you need to have pursuit. You see Sean Lucas right there. Now he gets the corner, but who comes over? 41 Fred Perry. That's what we're talking about. That's the kind of hustle that wins you football games, is when your defensive end is the one taking it to the sideline and making the play.
Fred Perry, who leads Saskatchewan in tackles, with 48 coming into this game, like Cameron Wake on the D-line. 2 big defensive linemen leading their teams to the charge in tackles. Second and goal from the 3 in a double tight formation for BC. The pitch outside, Joe Smith in traffic, bulldozing and reaching. Yes, touchdown as he breaks the plane with the football. The touchdown leader in the CFL, Joe Smith, with his 14th.
Mark, 6 straight carries. We talked about it. Again, nothing fancy. A simple toss to the right side. Get your offensive lineman out in front of you and watch the determination. Remember, all you have to do is break the plane of the goal line. He reaches out and does that. Now, McKenzie did not like that call. Anton McKenzie, 42, thought he kept him away from the line, but the official right there.
So a challenge to see if, in fact, Joe Smith broke the plane. We saw him last week against the Argos, denied once. Second effort, he stuck it in the end zone. As Andre Proulx converses with Kent Austin.
And I found it interesting that Kent Austin would throw the challenge
Saskatchewan
flag.
is challenging the ruling on the field of a touchdown. We'll review the play.
Because last week he was criticized a little bit, Mark, for not throwing a couple of challenges. Even though the game was out of hand, he said he should have still, after he looked at the film, maybe challenged a couple plays. Let's take a look at this one as you see Joe Smith is going to kind of run over. Check, what a great straight arm, and it looks like he just got that ball to break the plane.
Dave Foxcroft, the head linesman, was right there, and he made the signal immediately.
I mean, incredible leg strength, drive, and determination. That's what makes great backs. Anton McKenzie hits him, thinks he keeps him away from the line. But let's take a look at this one more time as he reaches out.
Good run. I ain't gonna take this shit from you. Good run.
One more angle. Does his knee touch before he breaks the plane?
I think the ball gotta break the plane.
Right there.
I think he broke the plane before his knee went down.
Kahari, what do you think?
Guys, I was right here next to Ken Austin when he looked at it on the big board, and he didn't hesitate. Like you said, he didn't want to go into the same thing a few weeks back and not throw that flag out there. You never know until you throw the flag.
You just have to break the front edge of the goal line, that yellow stripe on the football field, for it to be a touchdown. You don't need to come down with possession, just break the plane.
Well, that's another rule. That's for another debate. I hate that rule, to be honest with you. I do like the fact that you secure the football. I do like the fact that if you break the plane and you still have control of the football, it is a touchdown. And that is what this challenge is totally about right now.
Joe Smith leads the CFL coming into this game with a total of 13 touchdowns, 12 on the ground, 1 through the air, waiting to see if, in fact, he will be credited with his 14th of the season. We'll give our viewers one more look before Andre Proulx comes out to make the call.
Well, let's let our viewers be the judge. We got a lot of armchair quarterbacks out there.
Can't see it, though.
Upon review, the ball carrier had the ball and the ball crossed the goal line. It was a touchdown. Ruling on the field stands, touchdown.
They don't like it at Taylor Field. But Joe Smith has his 14th touchdown on a drive of 6 plays. All Joe Smith rushes.
It was the Joe Smith show, and why not?
Animated on the Saskatchewan bench. They don't like it. The point after will confirm it as McCallum splits the uprights. And with under 8 minutes to halftime, the BC Lions are back in this game.
That's bad. That's really bad. It really is.
Joe Smith has played 26 games in the CFL. He now has 24 touchdowns. He is the touchdown maker and the salvation of this BC offense as they struggle through the air so far here today. That touchdown began here with a huge turnover. Baron Miles' second block punt of the season. The Lions would take over deep inside Saskatchewan territory. Joe Smith with that 6 rushes on 6 plays as we come back to live action, and Corey Holmes is down quickly at his own 25-yard line. Kerry Joseph has had an outstanding start to this football game, completing 10 of 15 passes, 186 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Well, he's done a nice job of mixing the plays up. He's got a little sprinkling of Wes Cates out of the backfield, and he's gone deep and challenged this BC secondary vertically.
Joseph starting just across the 25. 2-back formation on first down. Play action now. Leaking out of the backfield is big Chris Zarka. And the fullback is hauled down across the 40. He's got a first down for the green and white. And a gain of 18.
It's a great misdirection play. You've got Brent Johnson just hankering to put a licking on the quarterback, Kerry Joseph. You let him through just at the last second, and then you slip the pass out. Here he is on the side. Watch as he comes up, and they just throw the ball. It's a nice job of just getting the ends up the field and dumping the ball off away from the pressure.
Zarka with 10 catches for 152 yards this season. A big gain there. Here's the handoff up the gut. Wes Cates meandering his way into the interior of that BC defense, and good production there.
Guys, on that last play, one of the things you need to watch for is Pottinger playing out of position a little bit at Sam linebacker. He was supposed to be covering Zarka on that play, and because he wasn't covering it, it left Zarka wide open. So Pottinger playing out of position, that's something that we'll have to watch for all game and see if that works for BC.
That's a good point too, because on second downs, passing downs, the Lions don't want Pottinger in there, but on that first down play, Saskatchewan caught them with him in the lineup in a passing situation. Pressure now on Kerry Joseph, and down he goes. Rick Foley celebrating his 3rd sack in 4 games for the Lions.
Well, they really like Rick Foley, and they have an ability now to interchange their players. He's just going to come around the top. He just runs the horn on Jermise Jones, just gets around, and it's just nothing more than a speed rush. And you got to give your quarterback a little bit more time. We talked about how good the offensive line of Saskatchewan was doing. That was a very poor pass protection play.
A league-leading 38th sack for this Lion defense, and that's the second consecutive series for Saskatchewan. 2 and out. A deep spiral delivered by Borum, pushing Ian Smart back inside the 16-yard line, and Smart has nowhere to go as he picks up the ball and is tackled quickly. Warrior of the game, we want you to log on to cbcsports.ca during the second half of tonight's football game and vote for the player you think has showed the heart and determination of a Warrior. We'll let you know who wins as we tally your votes on our post-game show. Warrior of the game is brought to you by the all-new 2007 GMC Sierra, professional grade. Joe Smith, 6 carries, all 6 plays in the last offensive series for BC. Jarius Jackson struggling through the air against the Saskatchewan defense. 1 completion in 7 attempts for only 10 yards. Jackson, play action to the wide side. Outlets to Geroy Simon in the flats, and Simon is forced out of bounds by Rontarius Robinson at the 27-yard line for a gain of 6 on the play. Geroy Simon, big game last week, 3 catches, more than 100 yards for the first time this season against Toronto.
And it's a smart play by the BC offense to get Jarius Jackson comfortable. Give him an outlet. It always doesn't have to be the running back. Put Geroy Simon in a little bit of a flare pattern, put him out to the sideline, much like the back would do. Just leak out there. He can either run with it or he can toss it, make a sure completion, get his confidence up.
And the back injury to Simon and the emphasis to give the ball on the ground to Joe Smith have hurt the numbers for the CFL's most outstanding player of a year ago. Here comes the blitz. Screen pass is short and incomplete to Corey Rogers, or rather Paris Jackson. And a flag, though, in the secondary down on the field.
Well, there was a blocking assignment mistake by the BC Lions. We talked earlier when we showed Neil Hughes working with the offensive line, how you have to work together. This time, I believe, Joe Smith goes to the wrong side and does not pick up Kitwana Jones, who comes free. That forces that screen pass to be way too quick and thus incomplete.
Unnecessary roughness. BC number 60. That penalty will be applied at the end of the play. Back half the distance. 3rd down.
Well, that's Jimenez, the other right tackle, as they call Rob Murphy and Jason Jimenez. They call themselves the bookends of brutality.
Yes, they are big men. They enjoy the spotlight. Murphy is tandem teammate at tackle. Called the dirtiest player in the CFL early in the year by Raheem Abdullah, formerly of the Edmonton Eskimos. They do like to stir it up.
But that's what you want, and I think that's been the biggest change to this BC Lion offense and team in general, and that's probably one of the reasons they made it and won the cup last year, was the play of those 2 fellas.
Well, there's Nasty, and they like to run block with a vengeance. Paul McCallum standing just inside his goal line, and he's going to concede a safety. And out of touch at the back of the end zone. So the Riders up their lead by 2. Tomorrow on CBC at 2:30, the World Artistic Gymnastics Championships from Stuttgart, Germany, feature the men's and women's individual all-round competitions. Brenda Irving and Lori Strong-Ballard will have the call from Germany. First down and play action, a pitch out to Wes Cates. Cates getting outside, downfield, and it looks like, yes, he'll have a first down for the Saskatchewan Roughriders, their first down in 3 offensive series after going 2 and out the past 2.
Well, it's called a shovel pass. You got to get the end up the field, and then you're just going to pitch the ball to the running back, Wes Cates. Now run it, guys. You got to create a seam. Watch this as he goes. The end has to take the quarterback. That creates an opening. He pitches the ball. It's called a shovel pass right to Cates, and he picks up the first down.
Got around Matt Kirk on the play. A gain of 11 to Wes Cates. Joseph, 6 receivers downfield. Lots of time. Throwing in the middle. DJ Flick goes up for the ball and has it in front of Mark Washington.
Mark, it seems like for the BC Lions to be successful on defense, they need to bring a little pressure. When they're just coming with 4-on-4 or 4-on-the-5 offensive linemen, they're not getting any pressure on Kerry Joseph. He's sitting back there. He's got all day, and he can afford to wait for his receiver to come open. This is a great job. They're just sitting around there. Jeremy O'Day, 54 to center, just waiting for someone to help with.
Kerry Joseph has thrown the football to 8 different receivers already in the first half. Hands off. Wes Cates hopping through the line of scrimmage. And big Cameron Wake makes the tackle for BC. And the gain will be 3. 2nd and 7. The 3-minute warning has been given to the benches at Taylor Field. Welcome back to Taylor Field. At the half with the panel, Elliott and the boys set to discuss the first half, and then we'll go back in the day and look at a 1963 West playoff final between BC and Saskatchewan. That's back when they played best of 3s to decide the Western entry into the Grey Cup. On that play there, Kerry Joseph can't get the ball past the line of scrimmage as it's batted down.
Well, they brought pressure. We talked about the fact when they're only bringing 4, they're not getting enough pressure on Kerry Joseph. This time they bring a blitz, and I believe it's Otis Floyd, 35, who comes free and gets his hand on that ball.
So the Riders' offense, after scoring 3 touchdowns on 4 drives to start this football game, has gone quiet. And Borum will punt on the fly. Ian Smart crashing across the 25. A flag on the play as Robinson tackles him out of bounds at the 30. A 32-yard punt by Jamie Borum and a 15-yard return by the ever-elusive Ian Smart.
Looks like it's going against the Saskatchewan team as Mark Washington, one of the team captains, decides to wave it off.
There is no infraction on the play. 21, Saskatchewan was pushed out of bounds and came back in, which was legal. First down.
You know, Mark, that's a great call by Andre Proulx. The fact is, that is the ruling. If he's pushed out and forced out, he can come back and he can still be a participate in that play. If he leaves or he leaves the field on his own, he is ineligible to come back on the field.
Jarius Jackson struggling through the air this football game. He's been dependent on Joe Smith's rushing. And he hands it off again. Smith going nowhere. Tackled behind the line of scrimmage. John Chick will hold him to no gain.
Now John Chick, who's getting his 3rd start. They had Terrell Juraniak, who's got the knee injuries and looks like he may never play again. But just a nice job. We run the play, guys. He's just going to come off, and he beats the tackle, and watch the flow. That's exactly what you want to do. Engage the offensive lineman, because you don't know if Joe Smith's going to go to the inside or to the outside of you. Once you determine where the back is, shed your blocker and make the play. Textbook by John Chick.
Big man out of Utah State in his rookie year in the CFL. And a big 2nd and long conversion for the Lions, who were 3 for 3 on 2nd downs in their last touchdown drive. Jarius Jackson with the big arm, and it's too big. Way past Paris Jackson and incomplete. And the Lions will have to punt. Kahari.
Guys, one of the things that I'm seeing over here is the aggressiveness by this Saskatchewan defense. I mean, they're coming with all kinds of blitzes, and even though they have a lot of young guys in the defensive backfield, they're putting them in one-on-one coverage and saying, hey, Jarius Jackson is gonna have to go out and beat us. But they definitely want to get more aggressive this game, and it looks like they have.
You know what? I agree with you, Kahari, because I tell you what, they're forcing Jarius Jackson to throw that ball before he wants to. He's got the right receiver, but he's overthrown him a couple times because of the pressure.
Oh, they're making the BC offense earn its yards, and they've been slim through the air. Corey Holmes from the 20 gets a seam, comes back to the near side, bounces off a tackle, spinner-rama over the 45. To the 47, a 59-yard kick, a 25-yard return to Regina's favorite son.
Well, one of the reasons he was voted the most popular player in 2005 when he last played with the Saskatchewan Roughriders. I tell you, the whole province was in an uproar when they traded him to Hamilton, and how many people met him at the airport when he came back. It was just a wonderful thing to see.
He even said he used to watch the Riders on TV and longed to be back.
good, baby. Good job, good job.
On the prairies. First down. Under 2 minutes to go. Play action. Joseph has a completion to DJ Flick, settling in the flats. And DJ Flick battling for the extra yards. And Markeith Knowlton tosses him aside, but the play is whistled down with his forward progress stopped just across the 50. DJ Flick coming into this football game, leading the CFL, leading all receivers with 8 touchdown catches. Last week, 6 for 75 to lead the Riders in that debacle loss to the Stampeders. But DJ Flick rejuvenating his career since leaving Hamilton here in Saskatchewan, but missing Dominguez in that pod they like to deploy in the receiving set. They go back to Yo Murphy, and once again Ryan Phillips says no way and bats it down.
Well, they're just going to try and drag Yo Murphy across the middle. But as you say, Ryan Phillips does an excellent job of staying in the hip pocket, watching the receiver, one eye on the quarterback, and as soon as that ball is delivered, he gets the hand on it and just knocks it down. Nothing more than just a drag pattern across the middle of the football field.
Hey, they're going deep.
Kerry Joseph missing Matt Dominguez, and the CFL leader in interceptions is putting up a dragnet in the secondary for BC, covering Yo Murphy like a blanket. 4th punt in a row for Jamie Borum. A line drive to the sideline, a bounce coming back Saskatchewan's way. Smart's on it, and Sean Lucas makes the tackle, but he and 3 other Rough Riders are inside the 5 yards. It'll be no yards. The call on a 33-yard punt and just a 3-yard return.
And a good penalty to take, because when that ball is bouncing, it's going to only be a maximum of 5 yards. And as long as you don't unnecessarily rough the returner. It's a good job on a smart play by the Saskatchewan cover team.
49, 5-yard penalty. First down.
Only 3 yards there for Ian Smart, but he's well on his way to a BC club record in the return game. Jackson looking to get untracked through the air against the Saskatchewan defense, which has allowed more than 300 yards passing in each of the last 5 games it's played. But they have been smothering here today at home. Darius Jackson throwing to the near side. It's complete to Corey Rogers, and he'll tiptoe out of bounds in front of James Johnson, or rather Tad Cornegay, for a first down.
Well, they know that Corey Rogers has got some great speed, so Cornegay's going to give him a little respect, and by that, I mean he's going to play him off a little bit. And as he plays him off, that allows Rogers to take him down the field and come back to the football and still have enough separation to make the play and pick up a first down.
The Big Hoggies getting set for the next series, trying to get that offense rekindled after the torrid start. Jackson firing with authority to Paris Jackson. He'll step out of bounds shy of the first down with a flag down.
Well, an interesting call. The flag was thrown on the far side of the field, and yet on the inside or the close side, it looked like that Giroux jumped, but they're going to call it against Saskatchewan. But interestingly, because as I watched that play develop, it looked like the receiver just kind of hop-stepped and just caught himself, and obviously protected himself from jumping offside.
Well, it's always a close call for the officials with the way the receivers waggle to the line of scrimmage in motion. Here is the call from Andre Proulx.
Offside. Saskatchewan number 41. 5-yard penalty. Still first down.
Big Fred Perry, the culprit. He's right there. You can't really tell right now. He just jumps, and you can see that Rob Murphy does his very best to get back and not allow a free hit on the quarterback.
1 minute on the clock. Lions with a timeout remaining. Jackson throwing in the hook curl zone, incomplete. Brett Anderson, the intended receiver, and again they go after Tad Cornegay, the halfback, starting in place of Jermaine Chapman, who was lit up last week.
Well, they've had more success when they use a speedster on Cornegay and force Cornegay to backpedal, get his hips turned, and then come back to the football. Seems like they have a better job of that than maybe a slower-footed Brett Anderson.
Cornegay, one of 2 former Ticats in the secondary, joining Arab and Justin, who's on the corner. Renard Cox, the linebacker from Hamilton, is also in the Saskatchewan camp, but not in uniform tonight. A big 2nd and 5 situation for Darius Jackson. In the pocket, across the middle, it's knocked down and incomplete. Mike McCullough looked like he got his hand up in front of that one.
Well, if it is indeed number 45, Mike McCullough, that is because he does a nice job of getting a good depth on his drop. See him backpedal, he backpedals, he initially looks like he's going to blitz, reads the quarterback, goes high, gets the hand on the ball, knocks it down. Nice job of adjusting, fooling the offensive line originally, and getting back into your drop.
Mike McCullough, the fifth-year man, moving to a backup role. He was the young linebacker that took over from Trevis Smith a year ago, but the position now belongs to Maurice Lloyd. McCallum angling it to the far sideline. It's a beautiful punt over the head of Corey Holmes, bouncing into the end zone. And Holmes nonchalantly back and taking time off the clock, conceding a single. An 82-yard punt, the longest of the year by McCallum, and a single point on the play.
That brings it to a 9-point ball game in favor of Saskatchewan.
Heads up, guys.
So we see Kerry Joseph coming out and see what he can do with the last 35 seconds of the first half, Mark.
This is the showdown for first in the West. The Lions moving on top by a single point over Saskatchewan with their 40-7 win over Toronto last week, while Calgary pummeled the Riders 44-22. The last 4 drives have been punts, and this one doesn't look any more promising as Kerry Joseph fumbles the football and the BC Lions recover. A huge turnover inside Saskatchewan territory. And Kerry Joseph has it stripped by Cam Wake.
Well, he sits there, and it's the hesitation as he pump fakes, and he decides at the last second he's going to try and run. He does not secure the ball. He's holding it up in front of him, and that allows Cameron Wake to get the hand to chop the ball out of the hands of Kerry Joseph, and that's his 4th fumble.
4th fumble, 3rd lost fumble of the year for the Rider quarterback. And after the block punt would set up a big touchdown, BC, who thrive on turnovers, trying to cash in with less than 30 seconds, and Jackson's pass is batted down at the line of scrimmage.
Well, Marcus Adams, 51, the defensive tackle, does a nice job of not, if you can't get to the quarterback, do the next best thing, and that is getting in the throwing lane and get your hands up. You see him taking a look. He looks like he got his thumb. He's going to go and get that looked at. He's just over here. He's right there. He's going to do a little spin move. Then he gets his hand up. That's a nice job knocking the ball down.
The Lions, who lead the giveaway takeaway ratio at +14, trying to cash in here, but 2nd and 10. Pressure. They got him. Kiwana Jones with a forced fumble on the sack. Saskatchewan on the rampage. The Lions look to have recovered it. There's some extracurricular activity. A helmet goes flying as it's a Saskatchewan helmet of Scott Schultz, who had it ripped off his head, and it was thrown by Shirko Haji-Razuli. And we saw a controversy earlier this year when A.J. Gass threw John Comiskey's helmet.
And Mark, this will be very, very interesting. You see the other player without a helmet, Rob Murphy, who thrives on this, and more flags thrown as the Moose Jaw native Scott Schultz, enraged over the treatment he received. It looked like Shirko Haji-Razuli ripped his helmet off as he was in the bottom of the pile. And if that's the case, I would expect 55, the starting right guard of the BC Lions, to be ejected from the game.
Schultz coming to the sideline. And you get his blood pressure off his eyeballs there. He's so worked up. It was A.J. Gass who had the 35-yard helmet toss that got him a game ejection. He won the appeal when he was given a 1-game suspension afterwards by CFL Commissioner Mark Cohan. Andre Proulx trying to sort this out here as tempers flare in the final seconds of this first half.
And remember, it all started with a great blitz and a punishing hit by Kiwana Jones on Jarius Jackson to jar the ball loose. And there's Razuli, 55. Scott Schultz can only shake his head in bewilderment on the bench. Let's take another look at this. Let's follow. There is Razuli as he pulls back out. He misses Kitwana Jones. That might be one of the reasons he was upset. Now there's Schultz right here. He's in the pile.
There's Murphy.
And there's Razuli punching.
And there's a kick or a knee there by.
Well, you can see him. He's
Razuli.
right there. He's pushing it, and he's actually right now. He rips the helmet off.
There goes the helmet.
But he punched him a couple times ahead of that mark.
That was a street fight at the 40.
Well, as we watched the official announce the penalties, it looked like he was doing some form of aerobicized exercise by doing the motions of unnecessary roughness on either side.
Look at Murphy here pinning John Chick and staring him down. Here's the call from the ref.
Major foul, unnecessary roughness. BC number 56. Major foul, unnecessary roughness. Saskatchewan number 56. Major foul, disqualification, BC number 18.
Tell you what, some of the culprits got away with
a fumble followed by the recovery of the ball by BC. From the end of the play, will move back 25 yards, and it will be third down.
And Haji Razuli looks like he got off scot-free.
Are you kidding me? Come on. Are you kidding me? Rob Murphy there's Kelly Bates. Corey Rogers doesn't understand what's going on. It's almost like, you know, when you get a penalty from a major and you have to get somebody on the bench to serve it. He's like, me?
And Haji Razuli.
How did 55 escape that? We saw the punches. We saw the helmet rip off. And he, wow. Let's take another look at that and see, because, wow, that just doesn't make sense to me.
Rogers protesting his innocence. There's the big shot by Kitwana Jones, the forced fumble, and then the melee.
Well, let's watch as we see 55 come back in. Now there he is on the top. Now watch as he comes around to see the punching. He's right there. Watch him go. 1, 2. There's 2 punches. Then he gets in and there's another punch, and he grabs the helmet and absolutely rips it off Schultz's head.
And there's Corey Rogers being pulled off the pile by Andre Prue. He was working hard in that pileup, but it looked like Haji Razuli did most of the damage. John Chick apparently ripped off Rob Murphy's helmet. There he is, helmetless, and Chick and he having words. But Corey Rogers, who feigned his innocence at least, is out of the football game, ejected.
All right, well, okay, Corey Rogers, if you got called by the official, that's fine. But you tell me, you explain to me how that man escaped the ejection.
And now Ken Austin trying to help Big Scott Schultz regain his composure. It was 3rd and 49 after that huge sack and forced fumble that took the Lions out of field goal range. And here we are in the dying seconds, and Corey Holmes scampers to the 25-yard line. So the Riders dodge a bullet after the turnover. The fumble by Joseph is reciprocated by the fumble by Jarius Jackson. The Lions get the ball back, but can't score, can't take advantage of the Saskatchewan turnover.
And you can just feel the emotion in the stadium today, the dislike these teams have for each other, the importance of the game. Mark, you mentioned it, not only the tiebreaker, but for first place. And the emotions, boy, they came unglued right on that play.
So much at stake. The tiebreaker being played here tonight. The season series tied at 1. And Kerry Joseph will take a knee. Will that be the final play of the half? There's still 2 seconds showing on the game clock. And yes, Joseph will have to go through this one more time. Joseph takes the knee. Cooler heads prevail as both teams head to the locker room. Kerry Joseph with 2 touchdown passes. His first touchdown passes in 3 games. Joe Smith with his 14th and league-leading touchdown. And right now it's 24-15 Saskatchewan as we go to the half. Steve?
Thank you, Mark. Kent Austin, emotions beginning to boil over there towards the end of the half. Is that just football, or is that something you address at the half?
No, we'll address it. You know, they want to rough us up. We'll let them get the penalties, and we just need to be bigger than that and get off the field.
What did you say to Scott Schultz?
He's got to be. He can't get in a situation where he can get ejected from the football game. We need him on our football team and in the football game.
Your offense put 24 points on the board against a good defense. I would think they'd grade pretty highly.
Offense did great, but the 2 scores they got are directly attributable to our breakdowns on special teams. Our team's not good enough right now. If we straighten that out, we'll be okay.
Ken, thanks for this. Good.
Yeah.
Ken Austin preaching composure to his football team, but the offense scoring on the very first series here at home has taken it to BC and has the lead.
Well, here it is, and Chris Walby was infuriated at this as to how Sherko Haji-Razuli was not ejected. And prayers?
Well, I mean, Corey Rogers was right in there, and he was throwing shots, but how Razuli does not get kicked out of this game. 2 punches and a knee, then he goes and rips the helmet off of Scott Schultz's head. How he's not kicked out, I don't know. Wally Buono, head coach, sees Corey Rogers say, hey, do not argue, you are off, because he knows that Razuli coming out of this ball game affects this team way more than Corey Rogers coming out.
And, I have no problem with Rob Murphy not getting tossed. He held up. He just held the man down. But
oh, that's ridiculous.
I'm sure that George Black and Jim Daly are watching this game right now, and they've got to be just rolling their eyes at how that got missed.
Definitely. The refs got to get it right. I mean, you see Corey Rogers in there. He played a part in it too. But Haji-Razuli, definitely, he needed to be kicked out of that game. I understand the initial reaction when you have your quarterback down. You try to protect him and you go in there, but you can't throw the punches. You can't pull off.
Well, hey, if you're a Lions fan, you actually should be enjoying this right now, because this is the first sort of sense of life we've really seen out of the Lions. A little bit of passion. Right now, the Roughriders.
Wait a second. Hold on.
What?
Why are you just got one player kicked out of the game?
Because
you're a player you need because you're already down receivers. Right. And so Rogers was starting today. You're lucky you didn't get another guy thrown out of the game. How is that football?
I didn't say it was smart football. I said it was good for the Lions right now, because they need to get some enthusiasm going. They need to get some passion. And right now, the Roughriders have been running all over them so far, and that's where where I feel that this could kind of contribute to them.
You know what,
doing well.
Sean? You know what that shows? It shows a level of frustration on the BC Lions. Jarius Jackson has completed 2 balls in the first half. 2 of them.
Yeah,
they are running the ball half decently, but they are frustrated by a very good, very physical Saskatchewan defense right now.
Kahari, you wanted to make a point underneath the shots of Jackson struggling.
No, that was the same thing, that he's only completed 2 balls, so they're not missing a receiver that much because no receiver is getting the ball. What I see from Saskatchewan is just they are determined to get to the quarterback. They are making life miserable for Jarius Jackson back there, and you see it in his throws.
And Kahari, if you notice, when the receivers are running towards the line of scrimmage, they're all kind of holding up before the line. They're not hitting the line of scrimmage at full speed, and therefore they're out of sync with Jarius.
I want to ask you guys a question. We only have a couple seconds left, so it's a quick answer. What would you do if you were the CFL knowing that Razuli was not kicked out? Kahari.
I mean, definitely you have to fine him. I don't know if I would kick him out for a game or not, but I know the fine is definitely coming.
They're going to say they're going to have to evaluate it, and then we're going to wait, 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks to be able to hear an answer from this. They need to answer us as soon as possible.
I say he needs to be fined. Obviously, this was clearly an issue where he did something wrong against the rules. Fine.
You're not hard enough. Suspension. This has to be put an end to.
That was ridiculous.
I don't care if they go through the whole process again. This has to be stopped, especially with the helmet toss. We're going to take the break. Back in the day still to come. Also, Wally Buono and Steve Armitage. Saskatchewan celebrated early, but the momentum has slowed a bit.
Back in the day, a shift in time. Brought to you by Nissan, trucks and SUVs.
In 1963, the West Final was a best-of-3 between BC and Saskatchewan. After splitting the first 2 games, 19-7 Lions and then 13-8 Roughriders, they played Game 3 on the soggy turf at Empire, where the Lions were 8-0, unbeaten at home for the first time and only time in club history. In the third quarter, Joe Kapp hit Willie Fleming down the sideline for this 73-yard touchdown run that broke the game open. Great break of the tackle there. BC won the game 30-1 and would earn the club's first ever trip to the Grey Cup. Don't forget the online show post-game, which suddenly got a lot more interesting. I made the point that maybe they were concerned because Jarius Jackson was on the bottom of that pile and they were trying to get guys off them, but the panelists all say it's okay to try and get the guys off them, but it's not okay to be kicking and stomping and punching while you're doing it. Buono and Armitage next.
Welcome back to Mosaic Stadium at Taylor Field. 24-15 the score. Lions trail. Wally, what did you say to your team at the half to maybe cool down the emotions a bit?
Well, I didn't say anything to cool down the emotions. I'd rather them play with a little emotion. Right now, the Riders are kicking our butts, and we're not playing the kind of football that we expected.
What do you have to do to change that?
Well, defensively, we got to put some pressure on the quarterback, and we got to cover. Our coverage has been terrible. Our pressure on the quarterback's been terrible. Offensively, we're in a hurry and not taking our time and throwing the football.
Only 2 completions for Jarius. Might we see a quarterback change?
Well, right now, we just like to keep things the way they are. He's got to settle down and just throw the football better.
Thank you, Wally. Good luck. Guys?
Thank you, Steve. I would think that Wally Buono has got to be concerned about the discipline of this football team when you consider that for the second week in a row, the Lions have had a player thrown out of the game for objectionable conduct. Last week it was Tad Crawford after getting into a fight with the Argos. Chris Hardy, he was tossed. And this week it's Corey Rogers, whether or not you think he was guilty of any crime out there.
Don't even bring that up right now because obviously they've missed a culprit. The guy basically robbed the bank and got away. I mean, the thing is, I think emotion's great. And you have to have it to be successful in a football field, but it has to be controlled aggression. That's what Wally Buono's talking about, and the fact that he wants his players to play aggressive but smart.
Well, the first half was owned by Kerry Joseph through the air. 2 touchdown passes, 14 of 21 through the air for 229. As we take a look at the passing yards for Jarius Jackson, 28 yards. He actually had 3 completions in 14 attempts. Not much better, though. 1 touchdown, 1 interception.
Well, the story was basically the only reason that BC's in it is they've made 2 great plays on special teams.
Yeah.
Ian Smart with the 83-yard kickoff return and the block punt by Baron Miles. I mean, the special teams is keeping BC in this football game.
The BC Lions, how about this stat, Chris Walby? Only once in the first half did the Lions get a first down on first down. They were just 6 of 13 in second down conversions. And in second down, they're actually -9 in net yards if you take away that big loss on the forced fumble near the end of the first half against Jarius Jackson. Here's Corey Holmes to start the second half, rounding the turn smoothly and brought down by the rookie, making his first CFL start, Tim Goodwell. Kerry Joseph, as we mentioned, had a terrific first half of football, and here's how he distributed his passes.
Well, he's done a nice job of moving the football around, and you like the fact that he's gone vertical. He's challenged the secondary of the BC Lions, and he's found success. Both Fantuz and Mike Washington with nice touchdown grabs in the first half.
229 yards in the first half of football. Didn't have 300 in 2 games combined leading into this one in those 2 losses. Out of the backfield, Wes Cates leaking out, gets a block, and Matt Kirk makes the tackle just across the 45, and we'll mark that a gain of 7 on the play.
Well, Saskatchewan wants to come out and basically get that momentum back that they had to start this football game, and that means utilizing the running back and also getting time from that offensive line to allow Kerry Joseph to go down the field where he had great success in the first half.
Joseph coming into this game in a slump, being pulled from the past 2 games since that big last-second Labor Day win over Winnipeg, but he's looked sharp here. On the ground, Wes Cates with a flag on the play. Needed 3 for a first down. Easily got it, but let's check the infraction.
Well, they're going to call holding, and the back judge is sitting right behind the offensive line, and his whole duty is to watch the line play. And as soon as Cates got through there,
Saskatchewan,
the flag was thrown.
10-yard penalty, still second down.
Wes Cates, typical of the big backs in the CFL who are ruling the ground game against these smaller defenders.
That's going to be Wayne Smith, 52. That's who they're calling. And basically gets him, and then as you see, That's a nice job, and it shows the strength of Brent Johnson to try and get away from the block. And as a result, Wayne Smith has to clamp him.
2nd and 13. 5 receivers downfield. A 4-man rush from the front of BC. Joseph steps up. He'll run, diving across the 45-yard line, but he'll be shy of the first down. A gain of 10, 3 yards short, and Saskatchewan will have to punt.
But even though he picked up 10 yards, it's 10 positive yards and puts him still in better position for the punter, Jamie Borum, to start with when he kicks this ball.
Joseph straight up the middle, gets past Otis Floyd, and tracked down from behind. Avi Gladian on the tackle. 3 yards shy of the first down. Jamie Borum with a high hang time and a deep punt. Smart at his own 16, chipped up and then felled shy of the 20-yard line. Big Neil Hughes, the special teams tackler. Jarius Jackson with but 3 completions in the first half, 21% completion rate. He struggled this year to get over 50%, but 21 is way below his average. And now he'll start on first down at the 21 of BC with a double tight end formation. Jackson, play action, rolling to the wide side, and he has a receiver wide open. G-Roy Simon fighting for the first down marker against Robinson. Let's check the meager offerings through the air the first half of Jackson.
Well, they're basically just reminiscent of what he just threw that ball. He's living off the short passing game. It's safe, yet you look at that's his 4th completion the previous play. I mean, it's just not a lot. You've got to, at least if you're going to run that bootleg, take a chance, go downfield. He's just overthrown Paris Jackson a couple of times. You got to keep going back to the well. Sometimes you're going to come up with water.
There's Buck Pierce, dressed for the 2nd time since suffering a separated shoulder on his passing arm. Well, Iguano said yesterday he was reluctant to put Pierce in, thinking he wasn't quite ready yet. Back to pass, Jackson looking like short yardage. He fooled everybody, and Tyrone Williams dropped the ball wide open. A terrific play that fooled Saskatchewan on a 3rd and 1.
And Mark, they've used this play before. They usually use it on the goal line where they leak the tight end, Tyrone Williams, into the end zone. He's come up with a touchdown catch last season. This time they're just going to leak him through again, and nobody picks him up. He just comes up. He's just off to the outside. He's so wide open. The ball hangs up. It's one of those ones you just wish it would slow down.
That was a gift, and he dropped it. Check that. It's now 3rd and 1 on that 2nd and 1 yardage situation. And here they go again, loading up the line of scrimmage. They'll gamble on their own 30, and they'll convert it after blowing a terrific trick play on the drop ball by Tyrone Williams.
But I love the play call. You're 2nd and short, take a chance, do something. You got to try and get something offensively happening. And I love the fact they leaked them out. Had Tyrone Williams had a chance to come up with that catch, it would have been a big play. Might have got tracked down. He's not the quickest, but obviously you can tell why he plays defense, because he doesn't have great hands.
And so the Lions will have a first down at their own 32. Double tight end formation again. They'll go on the ground. Joe Smith, trouble, reverses his field. Now has all kinds of room. Fred Perry wraps him up. And a first down carry by Joe Smith.
A guy that's known for running hard north-south does a nice job of showing some change of direction, because initially it's to the left side, runs into the back, shakes off a tackle, and busts it to the right side. And as you say, gets down, tries to cut back, but Fred Perry, Maurice Lloyd bring him down, but not before a first down.
Gain of 11, 12 carries for 52 yards for Joe Smith, 1 touchdown. He has been the biggest force on the offense tonight for BC, struggling through the air. Jackson, play action, straight back to pass on a deep drop, has time, can't find a receiver, is flushed, wants to throw deep downfield again for G-Roy Simon. He's got it! Simon was covered by Tad Cornegay, but came back to the football and is slow to get up. He has a bruised vertebrae that has given him trouble ever since that August 17th game at Calgary. That 45-45 overtime tie when he took a hellacious shot. But a big catch there in a 52-yard game.
Well, as we just talked about the fact that you've got to take a chance, you've got to go vertical, you've got to get the secondary to turn their hips and run with a receiver. This is a great job of improvisation on the run. Throw it down. You know you got one of the best receivers, the best last year in the league, considered by some, Geroy Simon. He goes up and he makes that catch. It's a big play for the offense.
Well, Saskatchewan got burned on big plays just like that to Nick Lewis and Jermaine Copeland by Calgary 1 week ago. Austin wanted to stop the bleeding, but it's come back to haunt them as Joe Smith breaks another tackle. Touchdown, running roughshod over the Riders. Joe Smith ups his league-leading touchdown tally to 15, his second on the night.
Well, the strength of Joe Smith is really illustrated here as he busts into the offensive line. Should have been brought down. Poor, sloppy job of tackling. The ducking of the head. James Johnson, you saw him drop his head. He doesn't look at the intended target. And that allows Smith to get to the inside, and he just takes it the rest of the way.
And the breakdowns by the Saskatchewan defense are costly. A 52-yard jump ball to Geroy Simon, and then that 15-yard run by Joe Smith to the end zone, busting Saskatchewan tackles. And the BC Lions
happy birthday, baby.
have pulled themselves to within a field goal, awaiting the point after. And the injured Saskatchewan player is Marcus Adams, who was actually doubtful at midweek because of a recurring knee problem. And let's go to the sidelines and get an update from Kahari.
Guys, Sean Millington might have been onto something at halftime. It looks like this offensive line has newfound life for the BC Lions. I think the last 3 plays, you saw them really staying in front of their defenders and making sure that they couldn't get to Jarius Jackson and they couldn't get to Joe Smith. So that offensive line, I'm sure Haji Razuli is happy that he's still in the game, and he's making the most of it right now.
Well, you know, Kahari, God bless you for that, but I really think that on that play, and I agree with Millie, their offensive linemen are playing better for the BC Lions. They have a very good line, but I mean, Jarius Jackson is an athlete, much like Kerry Joseph, and I believe he's got to use all his tools, don't leave some in the shed, and the fact that he can scramble is a weapon, and when he did that, he improvised and he found Geroy Simon downfield, much like a young Kahari Jones.
What is this, the Mutual Admiration Society? The point after from McCallum is good, and now the Rider lead has dwindled to just 2 here midway in the third quarter. Gray clouds rolling in from the west. Here in Regina, the CFL on CBC proudly presented in high definition. 24-22 Saskatchewan. Joe Smith coming to the aid again of his team with that 15-yard bulldozing gallop for his second touchdown of the game.
Well, as you said, Joe Smith is the offense for the BC Lions.
Callum with the kickoff. Holmes from the 16 of Saskatchewan. Down the sidelines and wrapped up immediately. James Bethia in on the tackle for BC.
And Mark, you talked about the fact that they went back to the drills last week. Guys, let's watch it. I want you to watch Reggie Hunt right now and run the play. Now, he is usually around the top of the team in tackles. Just look at that. He has got him wrapped up, but watch what happens. He doesn't take him down. Joe Smith keeps working, keeps fighting, and the rest is history. You've got to wrap it up. I know last week Ken Austin harped on that defense. Tackle, tackle, tackle.
Well, they went back to training camp, as it were, this past week, and they actually worked tackling technique up back to fundamentals because it was atrocious the last 2 weeks. Kerry Joseph with a connection, and DJ Flick battles his way through Otis Floyd for a Saskatchewan first down and a gain of 16 yards.
You know, we haven't mentioned this term much this season, and it's called yak yards, which are yards after the catch. I love it when I see a receiver like this. Great protection. Nice job, West Case, to go up and pick the linebacker. But watch, it's not what you do when you make the catch. You got to secure it. It's what you do after. Always fighting for something additional.
You can see they've got Mike Washington tandem in a pod with DJ Flick, and Washington with his speed pushing up the sideline, opening that out for DJ Flick. Back to pass, Kerry Joseph looking short side again. This time it's Mike Washington busting a tackle at midfield, pays a price for it. But hard fought yards to the center field stripe. And a gain of 5, maybe 6 in the play.
And it's plays like that that lift your offense. It's the fact that you're not just making the catch and going down. You're trying to do something, maybe going to break it, take it for the whole way. I like the fact that they're showing second effort here.
And they've got Washington tandem with DJ Flick to try to open it up for Flick. Get him the ball. Javi Glatt back after missing 4 games with that ankle injury. In the air, in traffic, and a big connection for another first down as Andy Fantuz makes sure of the catch.
You know what? Ever since Ray Elgard left this team, and he was one of the best tight ends, slot backs that ever played this game, they looked at this guy saying, he's a heir apparent. 83, Fantuz, you know you're going in the middle. You know you're going to get hit. We need you to make those catches. He's coming along.
Andy Fantuz with 4 catches for 70 yards and a touchdown here tonight. It's his second best game of the season so far. Straight arm by Wes Cates. He can't get away from Brent Johnson, who swings him like a rag doll to the turf right near the line of scrimmage.
Well, the outstanding defensive player last year gives you a little example of why he was voted that by the Football Reporters of Canada. He just beats the blocker, Jameis Jones, comes inside, gets one paw on the jersey of Wes Cates and drags him down.
Chris, Brent Johnson's one of the players that Wally singled out as his playmakers, saying my playmakers need to make plays. Johnson with a 25-yard fumble return for a touchdown against Toronto last week. He's had only 1 sack in December, 9 in August. Toronto needs more from his playmaker, Brent Johnson. Pump action, pressure now. Kerry Joseph throwing downfield. Couldn't get his arm into that one, and it falls short and incomplete.
Well, one of the things that Coach Buono also said is we need to get pressure on Kerry Joseph. If we allow him the luxury of sitting back there untouched, he will beat us because we're not covering anybody. The fact is they're getting some pressure now. They're mixing things up. They're running a little bit of a stunt in the defensive line. The tackles will go to the outside, the ends will pinch inside. Try and put the offensive line on different levels. They're getting pressure.
Yes, and Wally Buono's defense has now forced the Rider offense to punt 8 drives in a row now.
Still have him a little bit.
There's Dave Ritchie, the defensive coordinator. Punt is angled out of bounds by Jamie Borum. Nicely done, no return on the play, but there is a flag at the 34-yard line. We'll check that out and take a break from Mosaic Stadium in Regina. Soccer gets started bright and early tomorrow morning with quarterfinal play from the Women's World Cup in China at 4:45 a.m. Eastern, 1:45 Pacific. Undefeated Norway meets the host nation China, followed by Brazil and Australia at 7:15 a.m. Eastern Time. A beautiful game on CBC television. First down Lions, their worst field position to start a drive, and Joe Smith will help dig them out of the shadows of their own goalposts on the ground. With the ejection of Corey Rogers, this young man, 20-year-old Josh Bowden, gets to play as a receiver in the CFL for the first time. He played minor football with Wally Buono's son Michael in Vancouver and was taken under Wally Buono's wing. A young man who's had a troubled youth, in and out of trouble, and is now getting a chance to rebuild his life on the gridiron. We'll see what he does here in the second half. The Lions will stay on the ground on 2nd and 3. And James Johnson will make the tackle as Joe Smith continues to handle the yeoman's share of work for this BC offense.
Oh, he's doing such a nice job of picking up 7 to 8 yards on first down that you know, obviously you're just going to give it to him because he's getting such great yardage, and he's tracking over and he's putting him in a situation now. We're going to come out and measure. where again they can move the football. They're in the football game only down by 2 points. I mean, it's exactly what you want to do.
They're going to measure, and Smith is just short. Third down, less than a yard now. Is Wally Buono in the gambling mood inside his own 20? And the answer, they're bringing out the big boys.
Well, that's a sign of your confidence, and you're getting great yards with Joe Smith. You don't need a whole yard. I would assume that Jarius Jackson would just tuck the ball himself on a quarterback sneak and get behind that big offensive line. But holy, I tell you what, if Saskatchewan stops him, a big momentum changer.
Third and less than a yard, and the Lions will gamble at their own 15, stacking the line of scrimmage. Joe Smith motions. Jarius Jackson is stopped. Mike McCullough with a huge tackle for Saskatchewan. You called it, Chris. A huge momentum changer here. And an ill-advised gamble, perhaps.
No, I think it's a great call. I think you're getting great yardage running the football.
On your own 15?
You've got a big offensive line that's been moving the ball when you're running the football. The thing that's interesting is watch as Jarius Jackson goes to the side. Instead of going up the field, he goes lateral first and then tries to turn his shoulders. By the fact that he goes sideways first, you allow for penetration. That's why that play is done.
Turnover on downs as the Riders stack the line of scrimmage, and Mike McCullough comes out big. Double tight formation. Kerry Joseph, play action, throwing backside. Neil Hughes busts a tackle, fans on their feet, and he's dragged down across the 5-yard line. First down, goal to go, Saskatchewan. Neil Hughes, the Regina product, brought the fans to their feet.
Well, that's just a nice job. What a play-action fake. Pulls everybody to the inside. They're all reading the running back. They slip Neil Hughes out to the flat, and he smells the goal line, and he tries to do whatever he can to get there.
Ninth receiver employed by Kerry Joseph tonight. Neil Hughes only his second reception of the season. 12-yard gain sets it up. First and goal from the 3. Handoff up the gut. And they won't get there. Abby Glatt makes the tackle. It'll be second and goal as they break up the pile.
And somebody from the Lions is in a crumpled heap behind the goalpost. And the Saskatchewan players were even yelling to the trainers on the BC sideline to come out.
Well, the Lions medical staff out on the field at the goal line. The BC defense now with its back to the wall after turning the football over on downs on a third down gamble at the Lions' 15-yard line. And Jason Pottinger is up, but this linebacking core for BC has been beaten up all year. All 3 BC starting linebackers have been injured and out of service at one point or another. And there goes Pottinger in some difficulty as Bill Rochelle helps him to the sideline. Kahari Jones.
I was right on the line of scrimmage for that goal line stance right there, and I'm sorry, but nobody was getting through that. I had not seen an explosion like that from the defense of the Saskatchewan Roughriders, or any defense for that matter, in a long time. I mean, they stood up that whole offensive line, and that could turn out to be the play of the game.
Here's one more look from Kahari's point of view on the ill-fated third down gamble as Mike McCullough came in to stuff Jarius Jackson, denying the Lions the first down.
Come on, Mark, you know as well as I do, if you go east to west, you're not going to get any yardage. You've got to go north. I'll tell you that in Pop Warner.
Young John Chick out of Utah State in his rookie year, savoring that big play on defense. Second and goal from the 2. Double tight end formation for Saskatchewan. Joseph handing off to Wes Cates. No! Is the ball loose in the pileup? The Lions say they've got it. We'll wait for the official call. There's the rookie who has come in to replace Pottinger, Tim Goodwell. He says, I've got the football. And it will remain in Saskatchewan's possession. 3rd and goal from the 2.
I'm a little surprised. I know they're handing the ball off to Wes Cates, but what I'd like to see happen on this play is after he hands the ball off is roll out. Kerry Joseph just sitting back in that drop back position. Roll out, at least put the threat that you might run with the ball.
So another 3rd down gamble. Now a timeout called by the BC Lions.
BC.
It did look like the ball was out, though, with Wes Cates standing on his feet with Otis Floyd all over him. Now is Wally Buono buying time for a challenge?
Well, that's what they would do, definitely, because the ball has to be snapped. Once the ball is snapped, they have no opportunity to throw the flag, and you can see it. The ball is ripped out. Now, the question is from that angle, is Wes Cates laying on a body and therefore not touching the ground? Therefore, it would be a fumble. If he's on the ground, it would not be a fumble.
But the whistle went, and that negates everything. If in fact the recovery took place after the whistle, we've seen that time and time again. In fact, go in BC's favor in the Grey Cup and earlier this season.
Mark, that is a great call because that absolutely is the first thing they listen for.
Here's a look from the reverse angle. Floyd's got him. Yes, you can see that Wes Cates is on his own teammate. And the ball comes loose. But it is a 3rd down. And now a Saskatchewan gamble. 3rd and goal. Joseph, touchdown. Kerry Joseph sticks it in the end zone on a 2-yard option. His 2nd touchdown of the game.
Mark, I just mentioned this fact. I said, you know what? On the 2 plays previous where he handed the ball straight off to Wes Cates, all Kerry Joseph did was stand in the back, almost like in a throwing position from a quarterback. You got a guy that can run. You got a guy that can beat you with his legs. Run the option. It's a great call. It puts that defense in a really tough situation to have to either take the quarterback or the running back. If he pitches it, nobody takes Joseph. Easy saunter into the end zone.
Especially when you got a rookie linebacker in on the play for the injured Jake Pottinger. Joseph, 2 touchdowns on the ground and 2 through the air tonight. Hey, Mom. This telecast is CBC, and any other use of this telecast or of any pictures, descriptions, or accounts of the game is prohibited. Kerry Joseph, what a night. 2 touchdown passes, 279 yards through the air, and 2 rushing touchdowns.
Well, here's what happens. Here's the newcomer. That's Goodwell. He just came in, and his job is to watch Wes Cates. Now, guys, run the play. This is the first play for this youngsters. He comes in, freeze it, guys. He's so worried about Wes Cates, he's not even looking at Kerry Joseph. It's an easy running. Great call, Mark. You hit it on the head. Take advantage of the rookie.
Yes, Pottinger forced out with the injury. Joseph, the big quarterback, rushing it in the end zone, his 9th rushing touchdown of the season, 2nd on the evening. And now the Saskatchewan Roughriders have a 9-point margin. Joseph coming into this game under scrutiny after being pulled in 2 successive losses in favor of Marcus Crandall, but he has been a leader, answering the call of his coach here tonight. Jamie Borum, with the 2nd longest kickoff average in the league, will send it to Ian Smart at the 11, and Smart is gobbled up by Kitwana Jones, swallowed at the 19.
Kitwana Jones with a great play, but you know what? You talked about Jamie Borham. That is absolutely exactly where you want to kick the ball. You want to put it in the corner so your covered team will not allow Ian Smart to get to the middle of the football field.
Kitwana Jones with that big forced fumble on Jarius Jackson earlier in the ballgame, and now a huge special teams tackle as the Lions will start at their own 21-yard line. A game where emotions went wild. A game ejection to Corey Rogers after a scuffle. And the Lions trying to come back. to the wide side. It's complete to Paris Jackson, and Arabin Justin throws him into the Perlator signboard and out of bounds. And the gain will be about 9 yards just shy of the first down.
That might be the first time I've seen that play by a defensive back as he throws a receiver out and not get a flag. Just going to close on it. Paris Jackson. He's a big receiver. Now watch, he's got him out, and then he absolutely throws him after. That should have been a flag. Got away with one there.
Jarius Jackson, 2nd and 1. Double tight formation. Pitch out. And Joe Smith, it takes a huge hit. Reggie Hunt right down there to make the tackle near the sideline. And right at that first down marker.
Well, Reggie Hunt is all over there. But I'll tell you what, Maurice Lloyd, 47, the middle linebacker for the Saskatchewan Roughriders, is playing a whale of a game. He is sideline to sideline making plays.
Well, this Saskatchewan defense is built on speed, built around linebackers who can move sideline to sideline, like Maurice Lloyd. 1st and 10. It is a first down on the short yardage carry by Joe Smith. They hand off again to Joe Smith. He's got a gaping hole, gets into the secondary where Tristan Clovis makes the tackle. Another first down on the ground for Joe Smith. And Joe Smith gets up slowly. Here's his rushing chart so far, Chris.
Well, he just basically hurt you everywhere. You take a look, and a lot of the big backs get most of the yardage up the middle. He's got 5 for 34, but look to the right side. 9 for 26, 2 for 17. He is utilizing all sides of that offensive line. Favoring a little bit to the right side, though, behind Jimenez, Sherko Haji-Razuli, who is still in the football game, and Angus Reid.
Joe Smith averaging more than 100 yards a game in the last 4. He's approaching that mark again. Jackson flush from the pocket, rolling. He'll run and dive upfield as Maurice Lloyd makes the tackle along with Arabin Justin. And it's been all ground game on offense for BC here tonight.
Well, except for the one play that was done by Jarius Jackson where he scrambled out and threw the big 52-yarder to Geroy Simon. Again, he gets away from pressure and runs, and this time, instead of trying to even throw the ball downfield, he decides to just tuck it and pick up 3 to 4 yards.
Joe Smith having a lot better night against Saskatchewan. In his previous 2 encounters, he was held to just over 50 yards in each game. Jackson throwing, nearly intercepted. Sean Lucas had the ball and can't believe he didn't catch it. Sean Lucas has 1 interception so far this season, and that was a golden chance. He could have taken that one to the house, Chris.
Well, Jarius Jackson had locked on Geroy Simon. And I don't know if it was a communication problem or Geroy Simon went the other way, but he's just going to take a look, throw it to his left, and you can see there is Geroy Simon behind him. He's right there, but he doesn't see Lucas, and Lucas 32 is right in his path.
Sean Lucas back in a starting role after TJ Stansel was injured in practice and forced out. Geroy Simon nowhere in the neighborhood on that one. And Lucas will need some therapy. McCallum to punt. A line drive and a bounce to the 20. Holmes gets a big block from James Johnson, and then Johnson is leveled as Holmes gets outside. Wow, the forces at work on special teams. They're popping tonight. A 43-yard punt, a 16-yard return. James Johnson delivered and received on that one.
Well, Chad Crawford, first-year player, third-round pick this year of 2007 for the BC Lions. Always got to kind of have that spider sense when you're going down on the cover team, because as he goes down, you're going to see James Johnson just crunches him from the side. Nice block by Johnson.
First down at the 35 of Saskatchewan. Joseph, play action, rolling wide side under pressure and just gets it away, bouncing short of Chris Zarka. The final play of the third quarter, and the Riders in control. Playoff atmosphere here tonight in the rubber match of the season series between Saskatchewan and BC. The series tied at 1 win apiece. And as we head to the fourth quarter, a 9-point Saskatchewan lead.
Well, obviously the third quarter had the big 52-yarder pass by Jarius Jackson, the touchdown by Joe Smith. And then BC gets stopped on third down, and that allowed Saskatchewan to go in for the go-ahead touchdown.
Joseph against the blitz, and nearly has it picked off. And it's batted down, incomplete, as he attempted to make the pass to Mike Washington. Third down.
Well, the biggest thing that Saskatchewan has to do is they got to make sure they don't get complacent here. You don't have that big of a lead. You want to still, and as you talked about earlier, Mark, they had a period where they had 8 drives, and they had to punt at the end of each drive. You see Kerry Joseph talking to head coach Ken Austin. We need to get the drives at least for field position.
Ken Austin's a stickler for details, making sure his quarterback puts the ball in the right place. Here comes Ian Smart from the 35, trying to get outside, and can't. Neil Hughes, the local boy, makes good again. A 40-yard punt, no return.
And you know, Mark, a lot of times we talk about the warrior of the game, and it's usually the quarterback or the running back. Sometimes these guys that, you know, don't get a lot of recognition of special teams, but I would say that Neil Hughes right now, he's a candidate.
Yeah, he's a grinder, a special teamer. Doesn't get a lot of pump, but he's having a great game. As we remind you, the CFL on CBC returns next Saturday with a triple header. It all begins with the Alouettes at Saskatchewan, then the Cats at Winnipeg, and we'll cap it off with the triple header, Calgary and BC. Jarius Jackson has a completion, and there's Jason Claremont with his first catch of the football game. In a passing game that has gone dormant here tonight, Claremont finally gets his hands, and the Regina resident signing a new contract last week that'll keep him in BC until 2010. And Wally Buono was saying yesterday that he could have a lot of big offers as a free agent had he kept his free agency status. But the fact that he signed in BC is an indication how satisfied he is with the offer and the team.
Well, I think he knew that if he played it out, he was coming here to his home in Regina.
2nd and 5. Jackson throwing, and it's complete. G. Roy Simon with a first down. And G. Roy Simon with 127 yards, his first 100-yard game last week against the Argos. He's beginning to return to form. Chrissy was telling us yesterday that he's about 90% and finally running at the kind of speed he used last year to become the CFL's most outstanding player and leading receiver with 1,856 yards.
Well, it's one thing, as you know, Mark, to have great speed. It's another to be able to use that speed on the football as you're running your patterns, much like Milt Stegall, who does a great job as well.
Yeah, he said, I'm playing my speed from last year, and it's beginning to show. There's Paris Jackson with a straight arm on James Johnson, and he scoots out of bounds for another BC first down. But G. Roy Simon said yesterday, and you can quote me, now that I'm back to form, I'm going to make people pay.
Well, remember this, too. Last year at this time, after 11 games, he had 67 catches for over 1,200 yards and 10 touchdowns.
That's amazing.
It's amazing. And, I mean, this year he came into the game, you know, with 37 catches for 500 yards.
One touchdown. And he said coming into this year his goal was to get 20. But the back injury, he had a hamstring earlier in the season, and then the focus on the running game with Joe Smith all conspired against him.
And you know what, Mark? And also the fact that you've had quarterback injuries. Dave Dickinson loved G. Roy Simon.
Yep.
Buck Pierce loved G. Roy Simon. They're both out right now. Now, Jarius Jackson is trying to find a go-to favorite receiver. Early on, it looks like it's going to be Paris Jackson.
G. Roy Simon rounding back into form down the stretch on the road to the Grey Cup. And the West Division leading Lions with a 1-point lead over Saskatchewan in the standings coming into this big game here tonight. First down on the ground. Joe Smith is tripped up as he got the handoff, and Fred Perry helped to slow him up. Been a short gain on the play of 2.
It's really interesting to see that even when they make initial contact with Joe Smith, he still carries people for positive yardage. Just take a look at Fred Perry, the man who makes the tackle. Just going to come off the outside. He pushes Rob Murphy inside, gets an arm on him. And look at the strength, because Joe Smith drags him for 3 yards.
Fred Perry has been a picture of composure after being fined last week for an objectionable conduct penalty and getting into a row with Garrett Armstrong with the stamps. Another completion. G-Roy Simon in a little hook curl. And a first down. And Jarius Jackson is beginning to get some chemistry.
Well, Jarius Jackson, who had his best game as a Lion last week, passing 264 yards, and that's why Wally Buono was very excited about what Jarius could do. Now, he had a horrible first half, but as you say, in this fourth quarter, he's starting to find some rhythm, and he's starting to find G-Roy Simon.
Look at the projection, basically half of last year's output and only 2 touchdowns. That's the projection after 15 1 year ago in that most outstanding season. First and 10 though, and the Lions have got something going here on the 33. Jackson in the pocket, in trouble. Now he's flushed, rolling away. And he'll carry it across the 30. A flag is down as Jarius Jackson was corralled on the play by Luke Molinder.
Well, this will be interesting because I think they're going to call Paris Jackson with a hold, trying to protect or give his quarterback a lane to run through as you see Jarius coming back to the huddle. Let's see what Andre Prue calls. He's talking to Maurice Lloyd, the captain of the defense for Saskatchewan. Either decline a penalty or push him back. It looks like they might push him back.
Illegal block. BC number 19, 10-yard penalty. Still first down.
Push him back with a 9-point lead. A field goal makes it a 1-score ball game. So yardage important here. How about Jarius Jackson after completing just 3 of 14 attempts in the first half? He's 4 for 4 for 40 yards on this drive.
Well, you can see him. He's just coming right back there, and he basically tries to just get him a little bit in the back. He actually tried to pull his hands off, but by that time the flag was thrown.
First down, 20 to go for the Lions. Backed up to the 43 of Saskatchewan. Jackson, deep drop across the middle. It's complete to G-Roy Simon again. And Simon makes sure in traffic.
Well, if I'm Jarius Jackson, I'm saying I want to throw the ball downfield. I want to go to a guy that I know is going to come up with a catch time and time again. I'm looking for number 81, and that seems to be the pattern that's happening right now. Jarius is going to sit back there, gets good protection, right over the middle, nothing fancy, just going to curl inside. Simon with the big catch.
Simon over 100 yards for the second week in a row. 6 catches, 106 on the night to go with 127 last week at home against Toronto. Here's Jarius Jackson across the middle. It's complete again. Jason Claremont with a head of steam, diving to the 5-yard line. Just his second catch of the game, and a huge one to advance the Lions inside the red zone.
This is a rub play. They're going to run a rub play with Claremont and Simon. Simon's going to come through. Now watch it. He's going to come across here, and there's Claremont. He's just sitting right there. Everybody goes with Simon, and they leave Claremont wide open in the middle of the field. Easy dump pass, and he does the rest himself.
And suddenly, Jarius Jackson is on fire. 6 for 6 in this drive for 78 yards. That gained 24 to big Jason Claremont. And here they are. First and goal from the Rider 5. Here comes the blitz. Jackson back to pass in the end zone, incomplete. Too high and behind Paris Jackson. To the sidelines, Kahari Jones.
To your point, guys, I think the BC Lions really want to send a message in this series by having Jarius Jackson throw on the first 3 plays of this series to say that, hey, I know Joe Smith can do the job, but we are not going to win this game with Joe Smith alone. Jarius Jackson is going to have to get going, and it looked like he's finally hit his stride and got a rhythm going.
He sure has. Perfect through the air on this drive. 6 completions in 6 attempts, and threatening here. Second and goal from the 5-yard line. Jackson, deep drop, throwing to the end zone. Touchdown, Jason Claremont. Claremont's 3rd catch of the game, and it's a huge touchdown. His 4th of the season.
Well, Jarius Jackson will end up being 7 for 8 on that drive. Throws a nice pass to another, what I call a possession receiver, a guy that will go and fight for the football. Nice job of protection. Great job by Jimenez, the right tackle, giving him a throwing lane. And anytime you give him that kind of time, Claremont's going to come back and find an opening where he can catch that ball.
A 5-yard scoring pass to Claremont.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the point after is good. The BC Lions, on 4 trips to the Saskatchewan red zone, have 4 touchdowns tonight.
What's up, BC?
Jason Claremont atoning for a drop touchdown pass last week at home as a big clutch catch here in the 4th quarter. A 10-play, 75-yard scoring drive, culminating in the 5-yard pitch and catch from Darius Jackson to Jason Claremont. Only the 2nd time in the past 10 games Claremont has been in the end zone with the football. Here comes Corey Holmes, and he's felled at the 30-yard line by the rookie Tim Goodwell. It's close, but 2 points separate these teams. Well, Saskatchewan fans were hoping they'd see Jason Claremont in green and white next year, a Regina native, conspiring against his home city on this play.
Well, that's Sean Lucas. He's the cover guy. Nothing more than one-on-one, fellas. He knows he's got to get him. He's so worried about taking the inside that look at how he plays him. Now, guys, run a little forward. Now, stop it right here. You see, he was so concerned with taking him about Claremont going that way that Claremont got the great separation on him early. By that time, it's too late.
And the Lions stuff that ground play to Wes Cates. Tyrone Williams sticks his nose into the thick of that, and the Lions were also blitzing on 1st down.
Well, you have to change up your scheme. You can't sit there and go with a 4-man rush on 1st down and blitz on 2nd down. You got to mix it up. You got to put a little confusion on the offensive part of it too as well.
2nd and 9. Tad Crawford, Markeith Knowlton, and Jerome Dennis all checking in at defensive back here. And a passing down. Here comes the blitz. Joseph gets the ball deep to DJ Flick. He turns around and makes the catch, turning himself inside out in close coverage, and he's hurt, going down into Luka Kanji's kicking net and hobbling his way back onto the field.
What a great job of adjusting to that ball in the air on the sideline.
BC number 9. Penalties decline. 1st down.
But Baron Miles, they're trying to bring the safety blitz on the play. It's going to come off the top. And as a result, it's one-on-one. Nobody in the middle, but he decides to throw the ball to the outside, and look at that job. Concentration, getting 1 foot inbounds before he goes out.
A 34-yard gain to DJ Flick. And goes down heavily here as his leg got caught up, and then into the net he went. And in a lot of difficulty clutching that right knee. Joseph, short drop across the middle. A nice slant to Wes Cates, and Cates drags the pile all the way to the 25.
And Mark, if you're seeing a defensive sit-up or a setup where your linebackers are spaced out already, this is an excellent call. Hit the seam, leak the back right through in between the linebackers, getting the ball quick, picks up a nice play and picks up a nice 1st down.
Wes Cates picking up the slack too with the loss of Matt Dominguez to that knee injury, and a gain of 21 yards. So 34-yard gain to Flick, 21 to Wes Cates, and now the Riders are marching. Joseph, play action, rolling wide side, throws into the flats. It's complete to Andy Fantuz, and he's drilled out of bounds by Ryan Phillips. And a short gain of the play of 2 yards.
You know, the scary part, Mark, we talked about how Flick went down hard. When you combine his 8 touchdowns with Dominguez's 5, it's 13 touchdowns.
Out of 17 coming in.
Yeah, it's amazing that there's only 4 touchdowns by the rest of that offense.
And tonight, despite the fact that those two have the lion's share of passing touchdown receptions, Kerry Joseph has distributed the ball to 9 different receivers. 2nd and 8. Pitch out on the option. Cates around the corner, and Jay Pottinger back in the game after being shaken up at his own goal line. Hangs on and makes a big tackle to prevent a 1st down.
I think this is one of the hardest plays in football to defend. Now the problem is it takes a lot of timing because the potential for something to go wrong is really huge, because if you pitch that ball behind the back, it's a turnover. You got to get it timed perfectly, get the commitment from the defense on the quarterback, and then allow the pitch to go to your running back.
And so it'll force Saskatchewan to attempt a field goal. Luka Kanji attempting his first field goal in 3 games. Didn't have any attempts in the last 2, both losses. This one will come from the 25-yard line. Kanji from the right hash marks. And he's good. So the Riders answer back the BC touchdown to Claremont with a 25-yard field goal. Hockey Night in Canada kicks off its new season with something a little different. Live from London, England, the NHL campaign gets going as the Stanley Cup champion Anaheim Ducks take on the LA Kings next Saturday, September 29th at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific time. 6 minutes and counting to go in the football game. 5-point lead, Saskatchewan. Jackson's pass is batted down at the line of scrimmage and falls to the turf, incomplete. Jackson's passing game coming back to life on that last drive into the end zone to Jason Claremont.
Well, the most impressive drive of the game for Jarius Jackson was indeed that last drive where he went 7 for 8, culminating in the touchdown pass to Jason Claremont.
Finally getting Claremont involved in the football game. They've lost Corey Rogers. He was tossed out in the first half. They traded away Tony Simmons last week. Down to 1 import receiver in G. Roy Simon. Here's Jackson throwing short, incomplete, intended for Brett Anderson, and the Lions have to punt.
And that's exactly what you wanted your defense to accomplish, especially with the Lions on their own side, the 30-yard line. You see Dave Dickinson say, boy, I wish I was back. You know, probably one of the smartest quarterbacks to ever play this football game. He says he sees things so slowly out there, and he's able to exactly know where he wants to put that football.
He's trying to here, Chris. Steph Kruk, Jarius Jackson, Wally Bruno consult with Dave Dickinson and use his knowledge from the sideline.
And you know what? I think he'd make an excellent coach as well.
But still battling to come back from post-concussion syndrome after being leveled here in a legal hit by Fred Perry on July 13th, 2 months ago, and he hasn't played since. A deep bounce and a good bounce for McCallum to the 10-yard line. No yards flag thrown as Corey Holmes picks it up and hustles for a 5-yard return on a 65-yard punt by Paul McCallum with the bounce. The flag has been waved off. There was no infraction on that return by Corey Holmes because the BC cover man was blocked inside the 5-yard restraining zone. So the Riders will start first down at their own 15-yard line. 5 receivers downfield. Joseph throwing in traffic. Andy Fantuz with a catch, and he scampers away from Javi Glatt. Javi Glatt back in the lineup after missing 4 games with an ankle injury. Is beaten there.
No, you know, I'll tell you, that was great coverage by Javi Glatt, though. I mean, Kerry Joseph put this ball exactly where he had to be, to the outside and away from the defender, where only Fantuz could reach down and make that catch. That's a nice job of putting the ball exactly where it's supposed to be by the quarterback.
And Javi Glatt doesn't look right. He's been beaten on a couple of 3 maybe broken tackles in this football game. First down after the gain of 18 by Fantuz. They bring the blitz, and Joseph battens down the hatches and takes some shots as he gets close to the line of scrimmage.
Well, Kerry Joseph thought he saw something there initially as they brought the blitz. Thought he could just take a step back and exploit that, but it closed very quickly. And again, Tyrone Williams, 96, the strength right there. Watch him as he just keeps coming back, fighting off the blocker, Abu Mekrek, and still being involved in the play.
No gain, 2nd and 10. A second and long conversion situation here with 3.5 minutes and counting. Here comes the BC blitz. Joseph has time, has a man open. Fantuz is overthrown. Andy Fantuz was wide open to the wide side of the field against Ryan Phillips, but it's incomplete in 3rd down.
And you know, Mark, they talk about the BC Lions and the fact that they lead the CFL in interceptions, but I tell you what, the Saskatchewan receivers and the offensive scheme are breaking free receivers all game long. We're seeing breakdowns by this vaunted coverage team.
Chris, The overthrows and underthrows have hurt Kerry Joseph this year, and that's the kind of connection that Ken Austin was telling us yesterday he's got to make. And it turns the field position. Here comes Ian Smart trying to bust the tackle of Mike McCullough, but can't as he's dragged down for an 11-yard return. To remind you, warrior of the game, we want you to log on during this second half here in the fourth quarter to cbcsports.ca. Cast your vote. The player who shows grit and determination and heart of a warrior. We'll let you know who wins in the post-game show. Warrior of the game is brought to you by the all-new 2007 GMC Sierra professional grade. That wasn't a good sight to see Ian Smart hobbling off the field.
No, indeed it wouldn't be, Mark.
But the Lions have the best field position of the second half to start this drive. Just under 3 minutes to go. A flag flies as the ball is handed off to Joe Smith. And it looks like it may be a time count violation, or procedure is the indication. It is procedure. The call going against BC at the 3-minute warning in a very close football game for first in the West. Welcome back to Mosaic Stadium, jammed to capacity on the final day of summer in the rubber match between the Lions and the Riders. The winner tonight takes the season series, and it could be huge in deciding a home playoff game. More flags fly as the Rider defense claims it was drawn offside by procedure.
It is. It's Jimenez, the number 60, right tackle, jumped the gun.
And the Lions are moving backwards. For the second consecutive call goes against them with 2:40 on the clock. They need a touchdown.
Well, and to put that in perspective, Mark, Jimenez is working against Fred Perry, so he wants to make sure he gets a good jump on the sack leader of the Saskatchewan defense.
You gotta hope the Lions have worked on their silent count.
BC 56, 5-yard penalty, still first down.
Going against Rob Murphy as Fred Perry fans the Flames. More than 28,000 in attendance tonight.
He may have called Murphy, but we saw 60 move.
First and 20. Jackson throwing deep downfield for Paris. Jackson, he dropped the ball. A perfectly thrown ball in close coverage by Arabin Justin. Incomplete.
I think you got to give credit to Arabin Justin as he's coming off the field with his arm hanging pretty down by the side. It looks like he's got a bit of a shoulder injury. This is a nice thrown ball. Jarius Jackson, who was overthrown Jackson earlier in the contest. That's there, but it's stripped out, knocked down, knocked away by Arabin Justin.
It's a big play the Lions desperately needed. And here they are, 2nd and 20. Arabin Justin has left the game with that apparent arm injury. Could be a shoulder. And the Riders have called a timeout as Ivan Gutfriend has a look at Arabin Justin, the short side corner and a key defender against the pass. You got a moment here, Chris, to update your game notes.
We'll take a look at the game notes, even though this game still got a lot of football and offense. No ordinary Joe. We talked about Joe Smith. What a one-man wrecking crew. 92 yards rushing, 2 touchdowns on defense. The Lion Kings, they lead the league in sacks and interceptions. They forced 2 Rider turnovers, 2 sacks tonight. Let's take a look at Saskatchewan. Carry the load. We talked about the fact that Kerry Joseph should use his legs. 2 touchdown passes and 2 rushing touchdowns. 1 beautifully on the option. And the hunt for character. They had to step up and play tougher. 42 net yards offense in the second half.
A huge play here for the Lions. 2:33 on the clock in 2nd and 20. Jackson, time, overthrows Joe Smith in the flats. 3rd down.
And there's still plenty of time where field position can be a factor, so bring on Paul McCollum. Punt the ball away, get a good cover, and force Saskatchewan to start deep in their own territory.
Paul McCallum will have to punt. Jarius Jackson has been 0 for 4 in passing since the touchdown throw to Claremont. In the drive, he was 7 for 8 through the air, so he's gone cold again. A deep punt that Holmes lets bounce into the end zone. The single point is meaningless here. The field position more important. And the Riders will give up a punt single to McCallum. Reminder to our viewers across the country, depending on where you are looking in tonight, immediately following the football game, you'll get a chance to see Mel Gibson's Braveheart or The Gangs of New York. But right here, with 2:16 to go, this Saskatchewan defense has run roughshod on the passing game of BC. Kahari Jones.
Guys, you really have to give credit to this crowd. I mean, it is as loud as I have ever heard it on the sidelines, and they really were the cause for those 2 procedure penalties in the last series by the BC Lions, and which caused them the punt. So this crowd is really having an effect on this game right now.
Could you see if they had the silent count going there, Kahari?
Yeah, they had the silent count later on, but I don't think they had it initially, and that's what I think helped with the procedure calls.
The 13th man coming to the fore at home here at Mosaic Stadium. Double tight end formation on first down for Saskatchewan. And they'll stay on the ground. Tyrone Williams stuffing the carry by Wes Cates.
Well, Tyrone Williams and Aaron Hunt, the younger brother of Reggie Hunt, really a force in the middle of the tackle position for the BC Lions.
Substitution now on 2nd and 9. Tad Crawford in as a defensive back, taking out Jay Pottinger. Banged up here tonight in a 2nd and 9 situation. The Lions desperate to get the ball back. Joseph moving the pocket. He's got time. Happy feet. In pursuit now is Brent Johnson with Happy Glad, and Joseph will just throw it away. It'll be 3rd and 9, and the Lions will get the ball back, putting pressure on Kerry Joseph.
But a smart defensive play by the BC Lions to bring Tad Crawford and take Jay Pottinger out of the lineup, as you say, get a better cover guy in there, get Crawford in a cover situation. They do a nice job of taking away the receivers of Saskatchewan and force Kerry Joseph to scramble and just eventually throw the ball away.
1:46 on the clock. Jamie Borum, and he gets a big punt. Pushing Smart back inside the 25. Here comes Smart. Can he be a difference maker? No. Big Chris Zarka with a tackle and a forced fumble. And there's a scramble for the football. And the Lions are back on it. So BC will maintain possession. And a furious punt cover makes a big play for Saskatchewan. Let's check back in on LeVar Glover, who went out injured in the first quarter here tonight. He's all mic'd up.
Mic'd Up, brought to you by Rogers, Canada's most reliable wireless network.
Keep hunting, baby. Keep hunting. Hey, we're going to take this game over, baby. There you go. Can't stay in the game, baby. Hey, we got 15 minutes. Got to keep believing, man.
So he's a cheerleader now that he can't play. And the fans now standing at Mosaic Stadium. You can't hear yourself think. Kahari mentioned the 2 procedure calls in the last series. A direct result of this crowd. A botched snap. Jackson's got it, and he's got a completion. Paris Jackson leaping into the air for a first down catch. And it takes the crowd out of the game momentarily. A 14-yard pickup in the hurry-up offense.
The BC Lions are finding success at the very heart of the Saskatchewan defense, and that is right in the middle behind the linebackers.
Jackson facing an all-out blitz. The ball is away and complete to G. Roy Simon, who neatly steps out of bounds to stop the clock, and another first down for the Lions. This week, Wally Buono said, Jarius Jackson is still my starter. He's going to lead me to the promised land, and that promised land is Mosaic Stadium this week. Well, can he lead his team to victory here with 1:18 to go?
Mark, and you saw it earlier when he struggled in the first half. He did not put Buck Pierce in. He said, I'm going to ride the storm, and he will shine at the end. We'll see if that happens.
Jackson saying, I'm going to ride this starter's job until the wheels fall off. Let's see what happens here. Jackson throwing. It's complete, and another jump catch to Paris Jackson, eating up yardage against this Saskatchewan secondary.
And they're sitting in a man to the short side, and they go zone to the wide side, and he just finds the opening. They're sitting back so deep. They're protecting the deep ball, but they're giving up the underneath stuff.
Jackson now in the hurry, barking the signals at the line of scrimmage. A gain of 16. Arab and Justin back in the game at corner. Saskatchewan showing blitz, and they bring it. Jackson releases the ball, and it's dropped by Jason Claremont at the 25. Incomplete.
If you're going to go after this offense, you have got to put pressure on Jarius Jackson. The times that he struggles is the times when he's forced to get rid of the ball before he wants to.
1 minute to go in regulation time. The Lions have no timeout. They used it earlier when Pottinger was injured. But Jarius Jackson rallying here in the second half. 2nd and 10. Rolling to the wide side under pressure. He'll run, drops the football. It's loose. And it looks like BC got it back on a very close call. Sean Lucas forcing the fumble.
Mark, you called it. The ball came loose, and it took a Lion bounce in that it stayed right beside the quarterback. Look how it stays there, and that allows Jackson to get back on it.
All right, it's 3rd down, and about 6 to go. Remember, they didn't convert their last 3rd down gamble. On their own 15, it led to a touchdown for Saskatchewan. And a flag flying here on a 3rd and 6.
Oh, it's a procedure call against the Lions.
There's the crowd again, Chris.
Well, it's a little payback for the Lions because anybody that ever goes and plays in the Dome knows how loud it gets there.
Look at the tension on both benches. Ron Este trying to communicate to his D-line.
BC number 59, 5-yard penalty, still 3rd down.
Kelly Bates gets called for procedure. 3rd and 10 now. The game hinging on this play. Crowd standing. All 28,000. Jackson, a deep drop, throwing for the end zone. Touchdown! G. Roy Simon. What a clutch pass by Jarius Jackson. And G. Roy Simon has come back to make a big play.
What was, I don't want to pick on anybody, but Tad Cornegay is working against Rontarius Robinson. That is a great move to the inside. He's still got some help, but he breaks it away from Cornegay. He just runs away from Rontarius Robinson, and he doesn't get any help over the top. And that's G. Roy Simon reading the defense, Mark, and coming back to the inside away from the second cover guy.
There's a fucking reason that one.
G. Roy Simon with only his 2nd touchdown catch of the season, and it's huge. A 33-yarder to beat this Rider secondary. He schooled those defensive backs with 2 moves downfield and was wide open when he made the catch.
Well, as we roll it, you're just going to get a 4-man rush, and they're going to try and drop. They get pressure. He's got to throw that ball, but take a look. Steve Freeze it, guys. Back that, guys. Guys, can you back that up a little bit? I want to show you something. Look at the deep man. Run it a little forward.
Tristan Clovis.
Look at you. Stop it there, guys. This is your safety. Your safety must be deeper than the ball. And here's the man that got beat. But what happens on that, if your safety's inside and your intended receivers behind him, that's not a good situation.
G. Roy Simon, whose season has been in disarray, the back injury thwarting him, and Jarius Jackson, who had 3 completions in the entire first half, has led a stirring comeback for the BC Lions. And so with 34 seconds on the clock, BC leads by a field goal. The Riders have no timeout. And the playmakers have come to the fore, just as Wally Buono said they had to.
Good job, man.
McCallum with the kickoff. And the clock starts on the return. Here goes Corey Holmes. Scott Gordon with a big block. Holmes gets outside past Washington and skids out of bounds across the 40 with 25 seconds to go. No timeouts left for the Riders. And Luka Kanji, his longest field goal this year is from 50. The longest of his career is from 53. Can they get him close?
And he's only had one attempt over 49. That was that 50-yarder he was successful on.
Matt Dominguez, who was leading the CFL in receiving before the knee injury that may have spelled the end of his season, paces on the Rider sideline. Joseph now with 25 seconds to work. Deep in the pocket, throws wide side. It's incomplete. Way over the head of Andy Fantuz. And there's a flag now in the backfield, and it looks like a roughing the passer call.
No, it's a holding penalty. And against the, I believe, the left tackle on that play.
Yes, they're giving Williams the choice here on the call.
I believe it was against
holding
Cameron Wake.
Saskatchewan number 60, 10-yard penalty. Repeat first down.
I'm almost positive it was 91 rushing against Mikowski. He's just going to come in. It's a little slide protection. Does a nice job. Watch the arm come under. He busts away and an arm bar and gets around him. And all Mikowski can do is grab him around the waist. Wow, tough time to take a penalty on that play.
A huge setback for Saskatchewan. 1st and 20 now at their own 31. They need to get the ball inside the BC 45. They need about 36 yards. The time is not on their side. There goes Joseph downfield. It's intercepted. Ryan Phillips on the rebound will hit the turf at the 50-yard line. Yo Murphy was the intended receiver. He's slow to get up. Ryan Phillips has his league-leading 9th interception of the season to snuff out the Rider hopes.
And it all starts from your free safety. That's Baron Miles. Watch number 9 coming, perfectly timed that. And Ryan Phillips, who's had a couple of interceptions off deflections. Take a look at Wally Buono, excited, can't believe it. That's a team, that's character and a team to be down, coming to a real hostile environment, Mark, and come out of this with a win.
Another big play by one of Wally Buono's playmakers. Ryan Phillips seals the deal here tonight. And Jarius Jackson will take a knee to drain the waning seconds off the clock. And a disheartened Saskatchewan football team, their public leaving the stadium as we speak. And Wally Buono's BC Lions coming from behind as the gun sounds to end the football game. Jarius Jackson, in his 5th start at quarterback, leads a stirring comeback. And Wally Buono's BC Lions win the season series against Saskatchewan for the first time in 7 seasons. And they own a 3-point lead in first place.
And you said that they would ride the arm of Jarius Jackson. They felt that he could take them to the promised land. It took him very late in the 4th quarter, but what a big play to G-Roy Simon.
And the hero of the night is standing by with Steve.
Thank you, Mark. G-Roy, welcome back to the CFL.
Hey, it felt good to come out and get a win in a hostile environment. You know, their fans did everything they could to keep them in this game. They played hard. We finally just got our mojo at the end of the game.
Only 3 completions for Jarius in that first half. What did you do differently offensively in the second?
We started being more aggressive. I mean, you know, you gotta let our guys get in the rhythm. You know, he started getting in the rhythm. You know, starting to get the trust in our receivers and in our offense to just let the ball go and let us make plays.
G-Roy, the one thing we noticed from you tonight, much more so than last week, is the speed is back.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I've been hurt pretty much the whole first half of the season. Feeling good right now, and you know, starting to put defenders in a bind, and I feel good.
you go to first place, but more importantly, you win the series against Saskatchewan.
I mean, you know, that's our job. You know, we're out here to win games. We're not out here to play. We just got to keep winning games and, you know, don't worry about the rest.
And your defense, once again, came through. Gave up some points, but they came through when they had to.
Yeah, like I said, you know, we struggled, you know, as a whole team at, you know, first 3 quarters, and, you know, we finally put it together at the end and got a big win.
G-Roy, thanks for this.
Thanks for having me.
Guys.
G-Roy Simon with the game-winning touchdown. 11 catches and 279 yards in the past 2 games alone.
Well, the public address people here in Saskatchewan are taking the optimistic route. They're playing the Chumbawamba song, I get knocked down, but I get up again. Boy, did Saskatchewan get knocked down tonight. Warrior of the game, absolutely deserving person. Last year, he was the league's most outstanding player, and tonight, G-Roy Simon comes up with the most outstanding play. You know, Wally Buono went to him earlier this week and said, look, you're not going to be outstanding player again this year, but we need you. And a situation where he needed, or they needed him to deliver, boy, did G-Roy Simon absolutely do it.
Warrior of the game, brought to you by the all-new 2007 GMC Sierra, professional grade.
So Greg Frères, what happened on the winning touchdown?
Well, Saskatchewan's in 1 free. That means that all the secondary is in cover 1. Robinson is trailing, obviously, but the free safety is free. He has to see every receiver in front of him. I don't know what he's looking at.
Jarris Jackson proves it's not how you start, it's how you finish. And really, he has precedence for this. I mean, Jarris Jackson has done this before in the 4th quarter, 2 games against Calgary. 1 tie, 1 win. He knows how to win it at the end.
You know, Sean, you and I picked BC tonight, but we turned to each other at the end of this game and said, I have no idea how BC won this football game. They had 2 sustained offensive drives all night.
I mean, this is the mark of how good this BC Lions football team is. When you can complete 3 passes in the first half, and with, you know, obviously Joe Smith was doing great, but when you can still be in the game at that particular point, guys, and come out and win the game, I mean, it's scary to me when I think, what's going to happen if Dave Dickinson comes back or Bud Pierce is here?
You know, it's interesting, and I think a lot more is going to be heard about Haji Razuli, too, in the aftermath of this. We're back to wrap up a victorious Lions win. You know, a month ago, it was Saskatchewan that controlled its destiny in the CFL's West Division. Now it's BC in firm control after they take the season series from the Roughriders. Okay, let's look ahead to a couple of things. First of all, Women's World Cup Soccer, that's tomorrow, the quarterfinals, early in the morning, both East and Pacific. Then, TSN's games. Our hockey, don't forget, a season opening special from London, England. That's Anaheim, Los Angeles, noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific, next Saturday. Then TSN games, they have a Sunday doubleheader, Eskimos, Alouettes, and then Argonauts, Blue Bombers. And then we have our triple header next week. The full network, the full country will see Montreal, Saskatchewan, and Calgary, BC, with Hamilton, Winnipeg in the middle. What a great game. The online show is next.
CBC Sports, Canada's Olympic Network, home of the champions.